is up, RotoGrinders? All rise for the People's Show. Myself, Dean Shabelson, new billionaire winner, Bobby Gomes, as well as Tasteful Tides, Tim Buell. Tim, you know him as a single entry specialist, a 3-entry specialist. Also, brand new, adding to the resume this week, best ball influencer, Tim Buell. You've been enjoying the best ball streets the past week. Not a lot of it's really easy to become a best ball influencer, right? You just start drafting best ball and that's it. But welcome. We've won you over. Bobby, of course, longtime best ball influencer when things are going well for his teams. Tim, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Dean. Yeah, all I've been doing pretty much all week is drafting best ball teams on DK. It is like the most fun I've ever had in the fantasy streets.
That's an elite. That's like a high compliment for best ball because you were up on the fence. Like you didn't want.
I wasn't on the fence. I was like completely on the other side. I had never drafted a team, and I hate fun. So yeah, literally, I've just been drafting best ball teams.
How much better? You can go. Tell us why you love it.
No, I was on an XM show with Eric Beimfor, and I was on XM with Dean this past weekend, and all we talked about was best ball, and it was fantastic to just talk best ball for 2 hours on each show.
You finally caved. What were you going to say, Bobby?
I just think the product on DK is elite. Like I just think it's fantastic. The extra rounds. I've been saving my DK. I did my underdog first. The underdog is like the gladiator bonus, but I'm not going to get to 1,000 best ball teams. Like I have a life, I have kids, so it's just never going to happen. And then there's 16 rounds and obviously everyone's good on underdog. Like, you know what I mean? Like everyone's kind of wants to win on underdog,
especially now. Like most people
should be playing on DK. Should be playing on DK. DK, the 18 rounds is so much better or whatever.
Well, it's 18 and 20, Bobby. It's 18 on underdog, 20 on DK.
20 on DK, sorry.
Yeah, no worries. So we were drafting. We'll get to baseball in a second. To your point, I like the extra rounds as well. And DK, it seems like you get some weird drafters. The draft that we had on Sirius, second round, somebody took Nick Chubb. Second round, we were losing our minds. At least I was losing my mind. I don't know what year this person thought it was, but it was very strange. They drafted like 4 quarterbacks, but it wasn't like they were like mucking it up intentionally because they had some correct picks too. The whole thing was odd, but you get that on DK. And if you ever draft like in like 2:00 in the morning, which I do, 3:00 in the morning, you get some weird stuff going on as well. So those are the streets I like to play in. Speaking of wet streets, there are some wet streets today because games already been rained out. No St. Louis, no Kansas City. Kevin Roth, he's back today. Happy to see Roth going to be back today in about an hour and 10 minutes. Crunch time's coming in. He is telling us he does not feel good about Minnesota and Chicago. That's the White Sox. Currently has it at red-orange. His write-up is literally says, I think they postponed this one. Like earlier in the day, he was kind of going back and forth. I don't know how you guys feel about this, but I took all my expert rankings for Minnesota and Bailey over. I changed them because I do not anticipate this game plays. Things can change. Weather is fluid. If nothing else, crunch time will touch on it. But as far as analysis today, I feel like we should kind of throw that game out. We didn't discuss this. But Tim, is that where you're at too? Probably going to get knocked down to a 9-game slate. I trust Roth. He's going to be on top of it. And he did say earlier, if this game basically doesn't get a delay, I'll feel better about it. But then he went the other way on it, where now he's got red first, which really suggests to me that game is probably not playing.
Yeah, I'm not even considering that game. I don't think we even need to talk about it. Obviously, if things change, the crunch time guys can pull through and talk about that.
I see in the chat. What's up, chat? Hit that like button. Do subscribe. Turn on those notifications. Do all those things that help us keep the lights on. By the way, speaking of turning on those notifications, if you had notifications turned on, you would know that every Friday is Stonk Watch. Stonk Watch. Do check that out if you're into the best ball streets. Of course, we have our Spike Week product as well. Check that out too. You mentioned Beimfor, Tim. He leads that team over at spikeweek.com. There's also some videos for that. You can find them on the old interwebs on the YouTube. But Stonk Watch is Jamino and Kyle Murray. They talk best ball. They talk fluctuating ADPs. Every single week they have a different topic as well. I think it's every Friday you will get a new topic. But I did see in chat Hoosiers Hang Banners mentioned Tournament Tuesday. It is Tournament Tuesday. go ahead and jump in the Discord channel, rotogrinders.com/Discord live stream chat channel. There is a tournament posted. There are no gimmicks, no nonsense. We're not playing low ball, nothing goofy. You just got to win the tournament. You got to win the tournament today. Every other week, we try to have a little bit of fun, do something different. But this one is just straight up win the tournament, and you get yourself a week free of RotoGrinders Premium. If you happen to win the tournament while wearing the RG badge, you get yourself 2 weeks of RG Premium. You can connect your RG badge. It's very, very simple. That's also posted in the Discord. Takes you less than a minute. It's also a free contest, just a free contest. Take it down. Whatever you're playing today, just go ahead and throw that lineup, if you're making one lineup or one of your lineups, in there. And, there's no downside, only upside. Potentially get yourself a week free of RG Premium. Bobby, you're in agreement, I assume. We're throwing this Minnesota game out the window. If we have to adjust, we'll adjust, but that's kind of where I'm at. We started with 11 games. We're going to be down to 10, likely 9. How are you seeing today's slate?
Yeah, throwing the Minnesota game out the window. For bats, for me, I really love the Red Sox in Texas. I think they're the strongest stacks. And then Sale and Lodolo seem like the two top-end pitchers I want to get to. I do think Sale versus a team that's been pretty strong versus lefties in Arizona is somewhat not shaky chalk. I just think that there's enough pitchers at the top of this pitching pool that can beat him. So I'll probably come in slightly underweight, not fully fading, of course. I like Lodolo. I like Scherzer a little bit. The only thing for me is like pitching on the low end isn't the greatest. I feel like I'm going to be paying for a lot of pitching today. That seems kind of the route that I'm currently going. That's pretty much it currently for just my just thoughts at the top of the slate here.
Yeah, we'll talk about. There's a couple of the barrel is pretty rough at the bottom if you're scraping the barrel. Sale, of course, pushed back from yesterday, starting today. You mentioned Lodolo. I should mention. He's coming back from his. He hasn't pitched in a while because he was dealing with, I think, a blister. The other thing is he's also potentially has a issue. Orange yellow is what Roth is telling us. I dropped this in chat if you guys want to read this at your own leisure. Yellow for Boston, for the record. Orange yellow for Colorado, Cincinnati. I'm reading what Roth wrote. Just a really tight window here. Models show a dryish stretch of weather from 7 to 10 p.m., but that could change, and dryish means not fully dry. And any delay in that time frame makes us lose our window. So, again, stay on top of that one. I believe it's a 7 o'clock. Yeah, 7:10. That is the first game on the slate, couple 7:10 games. Green for the Mets, for what it's worth. Maybe a sprinkle, winds at the left at 10 miles per hour. Otherwise, we should be in the clear. We're assuming that Chicago is not a go. We're also getting Snell back in our lives. There's a lot of interesting names. We'll have the conversation. Sale is currently getting the most ownership despite having the most expensive price tag at 32% ownership, but that's justified because he's got the biggest K rate by far, over 5% more than the next guy, 32.7%, biggest swinging strike rate as well, one of the lowest walk rates. His 2.71 ERA is higher than his 2.56 Sierra. He has been awesome, just spectacular this season. So, I think it is fully justified. I do agree with Bobby. We'll talk throughout as far as probably spending up a pitcher today. But there are some interesting names. Scherzer, Zach Gallen, Lodolo is pitch count concerns. We're giving him 97, and I don't think that seems a little high to me. I'm curious if that's going to get changed just because he hasn't pitched in a bit. Of course, he's got a great matchup against the terrible, terrible Rockies. Jump in here, Tim. Your assessment overall as far as the slate, and we'll touch on stacks later, obviously. But it is interesting. The one big number as far as team total is for a 6 total facing Joey Estes, who I believe last time out dropped the Maddox, and then now we got a 6 total against him, the old CGSO, and less than 100 pitches. But good weather for hitting baseballs there in Boston, and Estes, a dramatically negative ballpark shift from him as far as throwing baseballs in Oakland as opposed to throwing baseballs today in Boston. Give me your screenshot here, Tim. What are we looking at as far as tonight's likely 9-gamer?
Yeah, likely 9-gamer. I think Zach Gallen is the top overall pitcher on DraftKings at 8,900. Obviously, Chris Sale is probably better raw points, but I think that $1,500 difference makes Gallon my preferred play. I'm fine if people want to play Chris Sale in cash games and GPPs. Those guys are 1A, 1B for me. Not a lot separating them other than their prices. So it's, I would prioritize Gallon over Sale, but I also don't really like Lodolo that much because I'm a little bit worried about that pitch count, even though I know the matchup is fantastic, but you're paying almost $9K for him and you might get 80 pitches. I'm not even convinced that you get that many. You also have weather concerns that could come, in the window where he pitches. So I don't think he really has much of a ceiling in the spot. So I'm just a little bit concerned with Lodolo. I'm pretty high on Max Scherzer. So I know he's not back to his old self. He may never be again, but I think this matchup is really fantastic. So I'd rather play Scherzer over Lodolo. I think Bayo is another really strong candidate. He's not going to blow guys away with high strikeouts, but he's so elite at ground balls. And this matchup is so good that I think he could go 7-8 innings, 5 Ks, get the win, and he's got you 25 DK points, which would be fantastic at 8K. I do agree, though. I think paying down at pitcher is a really, really bad idea today. There's really nobody that I would want to pitch kind of in any format. I don't know if I would go under. I don't know if I would go under Bayo, to be honest with you. I think
so. No Snell for you. Snell's 7-8. He's back in our lives. What you're getting a discount, a built-in discount for Snell, and he's not going to be owned. We're seeing 5% right now. And how many pitches is he going to throw? I don't know. He had 3 rehab starts. 2 were bad. 1 was good. But sometimes he goes, 90 pitches in 4 innings. He just labors on occasion.
Right.
But other times the upside is just he'll strike out 10 in 5 innings. I think it's an interesting thought process, and he's probably more of a Bobby play than a Tim play because you're making one lineup, right? But I didn't mean to cut you off. I apologize. What are your thoughts on Snell?
No, it's all good. We have projected for 82 pitches. It's just I know Blake Snell can strike out anybody, but this Toronto team, they don't strike out. So other than David Schneider, that top half of this lineup, they don't strike out. And they have incredibly high walk rates. So if Snell has any issue with control, Toronto's going to take full advantage of that. So really, even if I was in Bobby's shoes, I don't think I'd have much of Snell at all. I'd much rather play Bayo.
Those walk rates are really jumping out. 15% for Springer, 16% for Jansen, 14% for Vladdy. Those are the guys that will be paid right out the gate. He can throw 25 pitches in the first inning. That's something that it just completely derail his start. But you've seen the upside for Snell in the past. I'm curious, Bobby, what your thoughts as far as Snell? Is this the old Robbie Ray rule? You're supposed to play him when nobody's playing him, but it's tough. It's tough.
Yeah, this is a spot you're supposed to play him. It's a pitcher's ballpark, right? It's only supposed to be 60 degrees in San Francisco also. I wonder what he has for a pitcher's umpire, if he has a pitcher's umpire. I currently have him in my pool. The lowest I'm going down to is Rhea, but I do understand a lot of people, especially if you're playing small field, they're only going to go down to Bello, I would say, at 8K. I do worry about Bello. Oakland is a team. I don't think Bello has that put away pitch. In Oakland, they can be pesky. So I kind of like Oakland stacks in the slate. I will have some Bello. But I'm willing to pitch Snell here. I'm definitely willing to pitch Snell. I do worry about the K rate for Toronto. It is something that's worrisome, but I don't know. It's 5% on Snell. He has a ceiling. We know what he can do. If he was chalky, then I'd have zero interest in Snell.
Yeah. By the way, Sam Fran monster sample, 590 games. Not a great ballpark as is, as far as the baseline numbers are not good. With the current temperature, 61. Wind is blowing out 8 miles per hour to left center, but that ballpark doesn't really matter for as far as wind, when they built it in the dimensions. A decrease in homers at 9.6% and a decrease in runs at 2.5%. Bayo, his thing is it's a ground ball. She's a ground ball machine. 54% ground balls on the season, 20% Ks is like fine, but not even close to elite, obviously. He just cannot get BABIP. The problem is Oakland can smash the ball. Their offense can hit homers, and Boston is a much better place than homers. So I can see them get to Bayo, but again, not a big fly ball guy. He has given up 1.27 homers per 9 in the season, but his homer in the fly ball is 18%. So a little bit unlucky as far as homer to fly ball.
He does have a strikeout prop that's 1 over Snell. 1 strikeout over Snell's.
What is it, like 6.5 and 5.5?
5.5 and 4.5.
5.5 and 4.5. So Snell's K prop is 4.5 tonight?
Yep.
What's the juice? It's got to be like minus 140 on the over or something.
Yeah.
Right? What are you looking at?
Juiced heavily to the over. 160. And Bayo,
I would not that juice.
Bayo's 5.5 at 110.
Ooh. Do you like any props today, by the way, out of curiosity? And since you brought it up, anything in the prop streets for you, Tim?
Dean, I'm just doing best ball now. Okay. I don't have time for I don't have time for MLB props, okay?
By the way, we should mention Bobby Gomes, leader of the squad ride today. He felt the pressure. If you guys know what the squad ride is. The squad ride leader goes to scoresandodds.com and picks their favorite bet amongst the bets that are written up amongst all the RG team. And Bobby, I'm not sure if you were doing this just for the bit, for funsies, if you like it, but you picked my bet. And now I feel the pressure. I feel more pressure that my bet comes through as opposed to nominating somebody else's. But we'll talk about it. There's a reason why I have not mentioned the pitcher for San Diego just yet. By rule, by law, my law at least, I refuse. I'm not going to play you if you have a walk rate that's higher than your K rate. I know the Seattle team strikes out a ton, but they are patient. And this dude, Adam Mazur, who's basically only there because they're without Musgrove and they're without Yu Darvish. But he's a prospect, but he's not quite ready. Bobby, were you just having fun? Did you thought it'd be a good little bit for the show, or are you confident that the Mariners score more than 2.5 runs? And we get plus money too, plus 120 or plus 125, depending on where you're shopping. I'm not sure if that's changed or not. Mariners scoring over 2.5 runs in the first 5 innings. We can do it, right? We can get there.
I think we can get there. I like the Seattle bats on the slate, specifically the big dumper. I think he goes long tonight. So like him, first 5 innings, if he walks a few guys, Mazur, then we're in business. I wanted to go with Grant's, which was what did he have? Scherzer,
Max Scherzer
plus
strikeouts.
5.5. And it went up to 6.5. And I got it at 10 a.m. I posted at 10 a.m. and it already moved. So yeah, I think we're going to be good with Seattle tonight, Dean. I think it was a good choice by you, and hopefully I made the right decision in picking you.
We'll see. Not sure if Rodriguez is going to play tonight. He was dinged. O'Neal Cruz not in the Pittsburgh lineups. He was pulled yesterday with, I think, hamstring tightness or something like that. So he's not starting for the Pirates. I don't know if that means we're going to consider rostering Colin Ray, but it does make him a more vulnerable opponent. Palacios leading off for Pittsburgh, Reynolds, Tellez, Gonzalez, Ke'Bryan Hayes, Sawinski, Bartman, Triolo, and Michael A. Taylor. You love seeing him in there too. He's got the ability to ball in the park, but he'll strike out a ton. I'm just trying to think for SB2 purposes, Tim. I still don't see myself getting the Colin Ray, but if that's what you're doing, his life is made a little bit easier. Because you mentioned kind of the opportunity cost. You said that the cheapest pitcher on the roster tonight was Bayo. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Yeah. I don't hate the idea of playing Snell, but I'm probably not. I don't make enough lineups to justify it. I don't think I'm going to get there. And if you're running 150, if 5% is the correct number as far as ownership and this stuff changes, it's not hard to really get even with that or even over by a little bit. Biggest stand you have right now, Bobby, as far as your pool and ownership stuff? Have you made a big stand? You're still kind of figuring it out?
Let me pull up my Opto real quick. I'm going to be on heavily Corey Seager. I'm going to have a lot of Corey Seager tonight. I think Seager's my highest owned player.
You like the Texas stack. I was, as far as pitchers, you think as far as pitchers, that you're well above or well below as far as the ownership stuff?
I'm above on Scherzer. I will say, the Gallon case that Tim made makes a ton of sense. So maybe I should probably bump Gallon to being my highest owned. I think I'm going to just be with the field or with Lodolo, and then under the field with Sale, and then be over on both Gallon and Scherzer.
I have this theory. I don't know, it might just be complete nonsense, but some of these guys, well, I guess it's a Tuesday, so I haven't looked at the full schedule. I was going to say some of these guys, this is our last start before the All-Star break, so maybe they push them a little bit more if necessary, but I guess some of these guys are also going to start on Sunday, depending on how the schedule goes. And also some of these guys might be pitching the All-Star game, or just might be not available. I was just sort of thinking like maybe they would push Gallon a little bit more, but maybe he's pitching on Sunday too. Like give him an extra inning if need be. By the way, in chats, Battle Bump God is saying, top me off playing Mazer before I lose my money. Kirkwood was responded just with he's horrendous. That's a quick way of saying that. Like why? I guess the angle would be Seattle gives you 4 or 5 strikeouts. And that's just what they do. But Mazer doesn't strike anybody out. At least he hasn't in a small sample so far. We'd roster anybody against Seattle. Please consider it, but I don't think Mazer is not happening, right, Bobby? We kind of brushed over him. I don't think so.
I have 0 Mazer. I have currently 9 pitchers in my pool: Lodolo, Sale, Scherzer, Bello, Gallon, Kikuchi, Blanco, Snell, and Rhea. Blanco's an interesting pivot off those top guys too for Houston versus Miami. So I think Blanco's interesting. He'd be another guy I'd probably want to get over on. I think he's an interesting pivot off of Sale.
Is he kind of a spend a little too much to be different? We're seeing 10% on Blanco. It feels like his price has been, 10% overpriced all season long, living off that no-hitter to start the season. But it is the Marlins, and he probably pitches really well against the Marlins, I would imagine. Decent chance of getting the W as well. You really can't bank on that. You don't need the win, but we'll take those win points. Is that the thought process there?
That's the thought process. Chisholm and Berger scare me, but I think paying up and spending up to be a little bit different with Blanco, getting him into your pool for 150 makes a good bit of sense.
Being told in the chat, looks like Roth has updated. So he's made Minnesota, Chicago, orange, red. So he's flip-flopping back and forth as the news comes in. I'll just go ahead and read this. I could drop us in chat as well, the weather report. And again, Roth will be on in about, 50 minutes or so. Give you some more clarity if anything changes. It will rain all night in Chicago, but it's never very heavy. I had assumed they would just hit us with an early postpone because no one wants to play or watch baseball in the rain. But the longer they refrain from calling it, the more I think maybe they'll just play it wet. Don't expect any delays. Just play wet or don't play at all. And I don't know yet which way they plan on going. That's interesting. So if they are going to play, the rain's going to be the rain, and that's that. And what is it? It's a Tuesday night in Chicago. Like the White Sox are horrendous. What kind of crowd is showing up for this anyway? If they care about such things, I can't imagine there's going to be, like, if this game actually does go, nobody's going to be there. But okay, we'll put that in our back pocket. Do you guys have a thought if hypothetically that game goes, and like where does Ober kind of fit in? Because
I love Ober.
Yeah,
I put him over Scherzer definitely, and Lodolo for sure. So I like Ober a ton. Can I risk it in single entry? Probably not. But I think now if you're making 150 and Roth keeps it at orange red, maybe I'd have like 5 teams with Ober in it or something like that. I don't know, but it's all about your own risk tolerance. But I really like Ober tonight, but I don't think I can play him.
People in the chat were talking about Yahoo kind of goofed on the price for Lodolo. What's the price for Lodolo on Yahoo? Is he like minimum or something like that? I saw Kirkwood talking about it. I saw somebody else talking about it. Maybe Lodolo is optimal. But if you guys are playing on Yahoo, I did not do any Yahoo research, but I guess be aware of that.
He's $28 on Yahoo.
Yeah, that's going to be too cheap. Yeah,
that's way too cheap.
Okay, so he's probably hitting a whole bunch of optimals if you're playing on Yahoo. Bobby, did you have a thought, like if, hypothetically, we all of a sudden get like they're going to play wet in Minnesota, or I guess in Chicago, Minnesota at Chicago, where would Ober be in your plans?
He definitely comes into the pool. And it would depend where like Lodolo shakes out. in terms of if we can play him or not, but I would imagine he would be higher than Bello, probably right along the line with Scherzer. I think Tim made the best point on Gallen. Like, the more I think about it, I think Gallen's just by far.
What was the best point? What was the point he made? Was there one point or the overall?
Just he's 8-9 versus the Braves who've been pretty gutless since basically Acuna and everyone went down. So I just think it's a good spot for Gallen.
So somebody in chats here, let's see. Andrew's saying, just for that, I'm getting 2 tickets to the White Sox tonight for $23. I just pulled up if you go to like ESPN, their scoreboard, they have a link to get tickets. They say tickets as low as. This is just weird. You know, tickets to the White Sox, the lowest tickets to the White Sox are more expensive than the lowest tickets to the Mets. That seems kind of strange. Producers,
that's odd. That's
outrageous,
weird.
Right? If you click this link, tickets as low as $9 for the Nats and the Mets. Tickets as low as $12 for Minnesota and the White Sox. $12? Is that Reinsdorf still? Get him out of there. Are you serious? That's like $11 too much. Alex in chat, a Chicago guy, saying lots of transplants. So they're pumping up the prices because it's gonna be Minnesota people. Is that what's happening? All right. Yeah, and I guess they're used to rain, right? At least the cold. All right, fair enough. But Alex, you going to the game tonight? He's got the boots in the ground. Have you stepped outside? What's it like in Chicago this evening? Okay. Who else should we? Oh, you know what? I want one more guy. You kind of mentioned it, Bobby, and we kind of mentioned him in passing. He kind of sort of somewhat lives and dies by his home run the fly ball stuff, and he's in the perfect ballpark to do so. Kikuchi, you mentioned him as like the 9 that you're talking about. We're not really afraid of San Fran either. I think he's pretty interesting as well. Where is he kind of in the mix for you? Are you kind of with the field? You said he's in your pool for sure.
He's in my pool currently. Out of the 9, he's like my 7th highest owned pitcher currently. So yeah, it's a pitcher's ballpark, good pitching weather. The fly balls should be contained in that park. So yeah, in terms of ownership, I have him currently between I have him at 16%. What do we have him for ownership? 22.
I just gave it a refresh.
18.
So I'm a little bit under the field, but I have him.
Also, and I saw Tuttle was talking about this. He was saying he was like manually manipulating the Bailey over ownership to go down. He was talking about this in the MLB Discord channel. He currently has over at 9% or 8%. If that game somehow gets it all clear, or at least like clear enough, I think over would jump up and steal some ownership from some of these guys. Bayo at 15% currently, Lodolo at 22, Gallen at 26, Scherzer at 31. Scherzer's not been great, by the way, like strikeout wise. Obviously, he's facing the Angels, and they're pretty good. They'll make life much easier for you. Sort of throwing it out there. Alex says he's going bowling. You asked him if he's going. Tim, you said big ball or candlestick? Is that what big ball? That's type. What's candlestick bowling? Am I missing out?
Duck pin bowling?
Is that what
candlestick?
That is?
It's called candlestick where I'm from.
Only in Maine. Nobody calls it candlestick bowling.
No, Massachusetts, Maine, Canada. Yeah, they call it candlestick.
Bobby, chime in.
Or candle pin, but we call it
candlestick. Candlestick, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not a big
Is
bowler.
He saying?
I don't know if I look like the bowling type, but I haven't been bowling in a while.
No? Is it? Who doesn't like bowling? Bowling's spectacular. It's a lot of fun.
It's okay.
Candlepit bowling. Yeah.
It's like soccer.
Yeah, you were besmirching soccer before the show. If the people heard what you were saying about soccer, what you said was a fake sport, I believe, is what you said. Was that the exact quotes? It's ridiculous.
Yeah, fake sport, soccer.
I took bowling in college. I used to. I needed to get my GPA up. I couldn't get into my major. I had to manipulate my GPA. So I'm like, let's take tennis. Let's take bowling. Let's take coaching basketball. All real, by the way. Those are all real classes that I took. All right. How about Tim? Tim looks like a bowler. I think Tim's in a bowling league. He's got a jersey and everything.
No, but I used to be. And it was so much fun.
Yes. What? It was fun?
Yeah.
Not surprised.
It was
Yeah.
great. I was in one in college, and we just get drunk and play bowling for like hours. It was awesome.
Yeah, it's good times for sure. All right. Anything else you say as far as pitchers? I'm trying to see if the chat is throwing other names, but I don't think so. I think we basically hit on all of them. Brian's telling us probably duck pin and candlestick are two different things as far as bowling. I don't think I've done either, so maybe I'm missing out. I got to go up to the Northeast and hang out with Tim and have a moxie. That's another thing you got to do, I'm told, if you're in Maine.
Yeah,
I hear it's gross, but it's a rite of passage.
You need to. I'm not going to.
You've had it. It's not it's an acquired taste, I'm told. No, you just didn't acquire it.
Right, I guess. I suppose that's correct.
Fair enough. Any more pitchers? The chat's not throwing anybody out. I think we're done as far as pitching. Tim, Cam the Man says, would you play Lodolo in single entry? I think you can, right? I don't see Tim. You're playing single entry stuff. I am as well.
I mean, I'm just saying what I would do, and I wouldn't play him in single entry.
You're saying would or wouldn't? I'm sorry, I couldn't hear.
I would not.
Because?
I have questions about his pitch count. We've got weather concerns. There are far better plays right around that same price point, in my opinion. He falls very, very far from me overall on the slate. So honestly, he's not even in consideration for me.
It was a blister. So, he didn't have any rehab stuff. It was just a blister. So maybe the pitch count thing is a false concern, especially when we're giving him 90s, as far as our projection. He's thrown in the 90s in the past as well. This is an organization, let their starters go. So I don't know, but it's been 18, 19, 20 days since he last pitched. He last pitched on 6/23. So not sure. Tim, FanDuel specific. I'm not sure if you have a lineup on FanDuel today. Jay wants to know FanDuel single entry pitcher. Do you have a hard stand on this is who it should be? Can you pay all the way up for Chris Sale? Is it one of these three guys? Who would you say is the FanDuel single entry pitcher tonight?
I think it's Zach Gallen at 9,700. 11.5 for Sale. It's pretty expensive, so I would just go to Gallen and then projected for pretty much the same amount of raw points for $1,800 less. So I would go Gallen.
Bobby, we got the Mariners tonight. Mariners lineup just came out over 2.5 runs. I'm not sure if we're excited about it or bummed about it, but J-Rod is in the lineup, but he's been horrendous, but he's in the lineup. Crawford, Garver, Raleigh, J-Rod, Big Dumper. So Raleigh are both in there. Canzone, Polanco, France, and Rojas. But we didn't mention Logan Gilbert. Is he just he's going to be fine, but he's not going to be the top pitcher in the slate? And they're asking for a lot of money. I think he's fine. Logan Gilbert?
Too expensive.
Yeah,
Okay.
I agree.
But he's
9.7.
Yeah.
His K drop's 4.5, right? So
I'd rather play Blanco at 10K against Miami.
But he's going to go 7 innings. Both those guys might go 7 innings though. Yeah. It's. I wish he was a little bit cheaper. Is sort of the thought process. And San Diego doesn't strike out a lot, so the combination. Yeah, I mean Gilbert's a decent strikeout guy. He's not elite, but he's fine. I think we should at least acknowledge his existence. 24% Ks in the season. But all right, let's go ahead and before we talk about our tiers, before we talk about our stacks, we were talking about some props.
Hold up on this.
What do you got? Oh, okay. Steve knew exactly where I was going, but we can go ahead and kill a minute or so. Shall we save this for after tiers, or it's just going to be a few seconds or so, Steve? Whatever works for you.
Just give me a few seconds.
Hey, okay, no worries, all good. Bobby, give me the synopsis. Give me your final thoughts as far as pitchers. I know you said it a couple times, but not everybody jumps in at the show. 5 o'clock. Somebody just jumped in right now. I'm like, I want to know about pitching. So, Bobby, give the people a minute on today's pitchers.
Yeah, without weather, I think Lodolo and Sale would be. Without weather, I really like Lodolo. Sale, I think he's going to project as the top option, but I think there are a lot of options below him that can beat him. My favorite being, Tim kind of taught me to it, Zach Gallen. I think Max Scherzer is in play. Also think now if Bailey Ober gets a go, he's in play. Ronel Blanco is another one of the higher end pitchers I would pay for. And then on the low end, it's Brian Bello. Seems like the strongest play. Blake Snell's in position as well, although it's more of a 150 play. If you're playing 3 max, I probably wouldn't have too much Blake Snell, and Colin Rea would round it out, and he'd be more of a 150 play.
Tim, anything you want to add to that?
No, I thought that was pretty good. I guess I'm just low on Lodolo, but he's fine, I guess, if you want to play him because the Rockies are just so awful, but he's not a priority for me.
We got Eric in chat telling us that Irvin is upset. He did not make the All-Star game, so he's going to step up tonight against the Mets. Was Jake Irvin really a guy that was considered possibly an All-Star? He's got a 2.8 ERA, and good for him, I guess. But I don't think anybody really thought, sure, Jake Irvin, I guess you can play. I suppose he's been good, but he's been playing above his head a little bit as well. Gonna talk about tiers in just a second. Tim, he's too busy in the best ball streets. He doesn't have any props for the people. But you know what? You know who's going to help you out. You know who's going to pick Tim up. You know who's going to pick us all up. It's Will. Will has his props for tonight.
What is going on, Grinders? It's Chief, it's Boom Fantasy, and it's MLB action, folks, and we've got 2 plays on the docket today. First up, it's Ryan Pepiot. He's at 5.5 strikeouts. I actually want less than that projection today. Pepiot has been a pretty nice strikeout pitcher on the season, but in the past 30 days, sitting at a 23% K rate. We're headed out to Arizona. Chris Sale was supposed to be on the mound yesterday. They scratched him. He's back. Folks, he's at 7 strikeouts. I want more than that projection. Chris Sale, 32% K rate on the season, has been exceptional. And folks, we've got a 2x multiplier today. Still chasing that elusive 500x on the 2-pitch. I think we'll get it at some point. If you want to put a little bit more boom into your fantasy, use the promo code GRINDERS. Get up to a 100% deposit match in the form of a free entry up to $100. And we'll see you back here later.
Thank you, Will. All right. I'm going to do tiers in just a second. Before we do, we'll just throw out the category, let the people let us know in chat. Tim filled it out. Tell us the best and worst casino games. The best and worst casino games. We'll talk about that in just a second. Reminder again, jump into the Discord channel. It is Tournament Tuesday. Get yourself a free entry to take down the tournament. And what do? There's no gimmicks, no nonsense. You don't have to roster like a team that has animals for a mascot, nothing like that. Just win the tournament, you take it down, and you get yourself a week free of RG Premium. 2 weeks if you're rocking the RG badge. If you just want to cut all that out and just go ahead and pay for it, hey, never a better time. You got baseball, PGA, MMA, WNBA. Commit to 6 months, you get $250 off the regular price as opposed to going month by month by month by month. The link for that is in the description, as well as the link for 1 month. 1 month, you get $40 off 3 days. $19.99 if you just want a 3-day pass. Go ahead and check it out. You also, of course, have access to SimLabs. If you're not aware about SimLabs, it is the expert DFS generation tool from RotoGrinders and Fantasy Labs. Now available not just for baseball, also PGA. Just a few clicks. Hundreds of well-built correlated lineups for whatever contest type you're looking for. You can juice it up as far as whatever variants you want. You can get it to like a single game, single entry game, a large field. Play with that to SimLabs. I know you guys reference that all the time. Maybe we'll kind of circle back and see what pictures are popping up in the Sims. And one last plug, let the people know about Firefox, the Firefox extension. If you guys happen to have RG Premium, you can that would work with the DK Pick 6. If you're in the DK Pick 6 streets, how that works is use the RG DraftKings Pick 6 browser extension. It's just for Firefox, and you have our premium props and pick 'em projections. It's overlaid right in the screen, so you can quickly and easily identify the best values of the day. All right, best and worst casino games as far as our stacks. Let's see. Butto is saying Ultimate Texas Hold'em. That's actually, I got a friend of mine that wrote me in that. It's pretty fun. Learning the rules on the fly was a lot of fun as well. King Mana is talking about roulette. Maybe we'll talk about roulette in a second. We shall see. Tim, you made the board, and I got to say, I was surprised at your entries, but we can discuss it. Let's go ahead and reveal the board, and Tim, justify your responses.
Well, I kind of took this as the most fun casino games for me. And for me, craps is number one. It's pretty close to blackjack. I just love craps because there's so many different ways to play. Whereas blackjack, it's just kind of standard, Craps is way more fun. So craps is number one for me. Blackjack, super easy to play. You can have drinks while you play, hang out with people, be casual, play some blackjack. Poker, I played poker 6 days a week for like 10 years. So poker to me is just kind of like, nah, it's like, it's fine. It's fun, but it's not my favorite. Roulette, it's always too crowded around those tables, and there's absolutely no thought that goes into that game. So I don't enjoy it really at all. And then war is the by far the worst casino game. That game's just stupid.
No skill. Like there's not a skill. There's no skill involved. There's no skill in roulette either. But
right.
Yeah, that's why we have it near the bottom. Bobby, your thoughts? How do you feel about this board? Anything you want to add? Anything you want to take away? Any mistakes?
I don't really like table games. I don't like casino. I don't know. I like poker. Like I like Hold'em. Probably be one for me. I went to a bachelor party Sunday night and we lost money playing blackjack. Because craps would be 3 for me, and roulette and war. I don't think I've ever even played. So, well, no, roulette I've definitely played. I'm sorry. War I've never played. Roulette's cool. I don't.
The Mirage had war. You didn't always see war, but I remember seeing it in the Mirage for some reason. I don't know if it still does, or I guess the Mirage is no longer the Mirage, or it's converting over the Hard Rock very soon. And I always remember from a Vegas Vacation, I believe, which they shot in the Mirage. If you remember, what was his name?
They still have war.
Griswold.
They still have war at casinos that I go to. They still have it. It's so weird.
Yes, there you go. Brian's mentioning, we had the discount casino from Vegas Vacation. Yeah,
but they still play it though.
Yeah, it's a terrible, and I think it's bad odds too, because if you match, you got to double up your money again to only win back. That's how they get you. Of course, there's always an edge to the casino. I was just surprised you had poker down so low, but I think you probably you've been burnt down on poker. And I know a lot of guys like to play 10 tables on their laptop, or 5 tables on their laptop, as opposed to like one live game, and it goes so slow. So maybe that's part of it. Is that why you have poker in the middle? Am I wrong? Is I reading correctly?
Yeah, that's kind of correct. Yeah.
When you're playing poker at home, like on the computer, you're more than one hand, right? I assume you are. More than one table.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, let's go ahead. We got a bunch of teams to power rank. Let's see, any update as far as weather? I guess Roth is what it is, and he'll be on in a half hour. Let's see. First game that we're going to talk about is Oakland and Boston. We had the coin toss backstage, and Bobby won the coin toss today. Joey Estes taking on Brian Bayo. The biggest total on the board as far as a team total, biggest total on the board as far as a collective total, 10.5 in this game. Over 6 total for Boston. They're over a 2-1 favorite, minus 205 to get all technical. So, Bobby, just looking at team totals, Boston is going to be the number 1 team on the board. But you tell me, where do you have the Red Sox and the Athletics?
Yeah, I'd put the Red Sox in craps, Devers, Duran, these lefties versus Estes, I think, are in a very good spot. And the A's can go in poker for me. Good ballpark, good hitting weather. Bayo's going to be, I would say, somewhat popular, and I think they're a good leverage stack, especially Langoliers, Rooker, all the good A's that you like to play when they're playing. So yeah, the big A's, the big bats for the A's, I think makes sense in 3-mans.
Yeah, people like their game stack. I don't think it's a wild game stack if it happens organically. You tell me, Tim, where do you have Boston and Oakland? Are we good with this? Any disputes?
No disputes on Boston. I'm going to bring Oakland down to roulette. I'm just not as high on them. Bayo's too good at keeping the ball on the ground. So it's roulette for me for Oakland.
I'm going to rule. This is where I come in. I got to break the tie, and I'm with Bobby. I kind of like I like Blade. I like Soderstrom's always really cheap. Langoliers is a catcher with power. It's pretty cheap. And Rooker, who's got over 20 homers in the season, I believe, half his games in Oakland. I do agree. I don't really like to pick on pitchers that have a heavy ground ball lean, but more of a mini stack, right? And again, the game stack is not completely bonkers. So we're going to keep Oakland in poker where they're at. Tim, you're up next. I guess, should we do Minnesota, Chicago? Is this what we're doing? It's the next game up. Oh, actually, you know what? I skipped the game, didn't I? I did skip it. I skipped 2 games. Let's do Washington and the Mets. Washington and the Mets. Jose Quintana, Jake Irvin. We did not even really talk about these pitchers earlier, but an 8.5 total here, Tim. Producer Steve, of course, is going to juice up the Mets. He actually just put them up the poker. That's kind of like probably where they're going to land. We'll see. But yeah, where do you have the Metropolitans and the Nationals?
I guess the Metropolitans are gonna go. I don't know. It's either poker or roulette. I guess poker. Irvin's kind of pitching over his head. The Mets have pretty decent top half of that lineup, low Ks. So I guess Mets in poker, and then I'd go Washington in poker also. Quintana is not a pitcher that I think has much left. Washington is going to be very, very low owned outside of Yepes. So I think it's a very, very interesting low owned stack.
Yeah, Abrams is shortstop is always loaded, but first time All-Star, by the way, shout out to Abrams. Just not going to be owned at all. We'll talk about De La Cruz, talk about Seager. He's going to be behind those guys as far as the big priced shortstops, but an interesting one-off for tournaments. Bobby, how about yourself? We in agreement with both these teams thrown right smack in the middle with poker?
I'm going to put the Mets in blackjack. Like Nimmo, like Lindor. The interesting thing about this game, and just in the context of this slate, is Seager is going to be super chalky. And there's two really good shortstops in this game. Like you said, Abrams and Lindor, I think they're both going to come in very low owned. I'll put the Mets in blackjack, and Washington I'll leave in poker.
You know what, Bobby? It's 2-0. I'm going to agree with you again.
What?
Tim didn't do anything. Yeah, look, I got to stay fair. Got to call it down the middle. And yeah, I think the Mets are interesting. I hate the ballpark, obviously, but they are going to be pretty unowned, and they have some cheap pieces as well. Vientos is still relatively cheap. Stewart's cheap. Pinch at risk, I suppose, if a lefty comes in. Alvarez, catcher with power. All right. Next game up. This is Bobby's game. It's Colorado and Cincinnati. One of the more popular games. Cincinnati side close to a 5 total, taking on Cal Quantrill. Lodolo, we talked about Lodolo as far as rostering from a pitching perspective. The Rockies have a 3.5 total. They're out of cores. They're terrible. They got shut out yesterday by Abbott. I believe it was a shutout. Shut down, I guess we can say. But yeah, what do we have as far as the Reds, the Rockies? We do have to keep an eye as far as weather. But let's assume the game goes. Go for it, Bobby.
Yeah, so Cincy is going to get the Colorado bullpen, which is probably one of the worst in the league. I think it's probably the worst in the league currently. So I like Cincy in blackjack. According to Weather Edge, it isn't the greatest for home runs, minus 19%, 86 games, 12% total runs, minus 11% for ERA. So I don't know. I'll go blackjack with Cincy. The Rockies can be in roulette. I like Lodolo. If we get a full go, that the weather's not going to be an issue.
By the way, not on our slate, but Harper and Schwarber are both back today, and the weather was really, really good today in Philadelphia. Jumping off the page as far as Weather Edge, 32-game sample, 91 degrees, weather, winds blowing out basically dead center at 9 miles per hour, 37% bump in homers, 15% bump in runs. In Philly with their A lineup, with the exception of still no real Muto, but obviously a significant upgrade if you're in even in the prop streets, that kind of thing. Did I bet Philly because I saw that they're both coming back, but we'll see. All right. Tim, any issues with Cincinnati and Washington?
I don't. That's exactly where I was going to put both teams.
Perfect. We shall move on. Up next, Kansas City, St. Louis is washed out. Minnesota, Chicago. I don't know. Tim, do you want to rank this? What do we do with this?
Well, the thing is, I would put Chicago White Sox in war, and then I would probably put the Twins in poker because I do have some interest. I know Fetty's been really good this year, but I do have some interests in the lefties. So I put the Twins in poker and the White Sox in war.
Bobby, you good with that? I wouldn't play Chicago. You want to play the leverage stuff, but Ober probably has his ownership subdued a little bit by potential weather stuff. Any issues there, Bobby? Minnesota, Chicago?
I agree with it. If Ober was chalkier, I'd probably bump the White Sox up to roulette. But yeah, I agree with that where it is currently.
Up next, Bobby, it is the Marlins. The Marlins taking on Houston. Let me jump to the page. I just closed it by accident. My apologies. I got to kill some time. Trevor Rogers, who's been kind of a disaster, taking on a Houston team where you weren't really sure if Jordan Alvarez is going to play or not tonight. He's dealing with the knee. He is in. It's one of the only lefties in that lineup. Singleton also in there. So it's 7 righties with Singleton and Jordan Alvarez. Blanco on the other side taking on the Marlins. The lineup is horrific. It's just terrible. And it might get worse. Jazz probably gets traded soon enough. I saw rumors of Kansas City, which like he'd be a fun play in Kansas City, right? Jazz and like Witt, like 1-2. How much fun would that be? Just throwing it out there. Let's make it happen. Why not? I'd like to see KC go for it to some degree. Anyways, Bobby, you're up. Marlins, Astros. What do you got?
Steve got it right. Houston's going to go in blackjack, Marlins in roulette. I do like Jazz and Berger on the Marlins side. On Houston, I think the whole lineup's in play. Like Alvarez, I think he's the top bat on Houston as always. Altuve, Bregman, I think they're all good plays as well. So, yeah, that's pretty much that's where I have these two teams.
What do you have, Tim? Any issues? Any qualms?
I would bring the Marlins down to WAR.
I think I would too.
Tim's trying to get Dean to agree with him.
He knows I don't like the Marlins.
It worked. It worked.
Some cheap points. Like Fortes is so terrible. Bruin is awful. Edwards is horrific. I guess the front half you can make some arguments. I'm okay with Jazz a little bit. He's fine, but I don't. Power, speed. I guess De La Cruz is okay. I prefer righties in Houston. Just cheap, get those cheap homers down the line. But I'm not playing the Marlins. It's not happening. If they get there, so be it. Blanco's been really solid. I'm with Tim. Marlins in the gutter, hanging out with WAR, and Houston blackjack. Tim, you are up next. We're kind of flying through these, by the way. We got 20 minutes or so until crunch time shows up. So we will have time for questions. Get those questions prepared. The greatest host since Alex Trebek. That's an insult to Alex Trebek. Alex was spectacular. But thank you. That's an honor. It's very kind of you to say. It's incorrect, but it's very kind. Next game up is I am kind of bouncing around, as you say. What a great host time. Pittsburgh and Milwaukee. Colin Ray. So Josh Fleming is announced as the starter. I don't know how long he's going to go. Likely is that Priester, the presumed starter earlier in the day, is going to be piggybacking after Fleming. That's the thought process here. That's what we have here on the lineups page. Starting with the lefty Fleming, Priester, one-time big-time prospect. He's yet to kind of justify that status, taking on Colin Ray. No O'Neal Cruz for Pittsburgh. Mentioned that earlier. And Tim, the board is yours. Brewers and Pirates. What do you got?
Did you say no O'Neal Cruz?
I did. He left yesterday's game with a hamstring, and I wasn't sure it was precautionary or not because it was like 6-2 in the 8th inning and they were ahead. But yeah, I guess it might be somewhat serious. Maybe they hold him out till the All-Star break because why push him? Who knows? We'll see. But yeah, he's not in the lineup tonight for Pittsburgh.
I guess I missed that. My bad. That's a pretty big downgrade for this lineup. Yeah. So I guess Pirates. I don't mind the lefties. There are 1, 2, 3, 4. I guess roulette, but they're pretty close to poker for me. But I guess roulette.
What about Milwaukee?
I don't really like stacking bullpen games that much. It's pretty hard to handicap what's going to happen. I guess I'd go Milwaukee in poker, but they're pretty close to blackjack.
I was thinking about that too. Like, how ambitious would Milwaukee be as far as going to the pinch hit stuff quickly? Would they pull? Trying to think. Is Eric Haas? He's probably actually catching, right? Contreras is probably DHing. I'm assuming that's what's happening. Like a Vinny Capra, does he have a chance of getting pulled? because he's probably going to see Fleming once, and that's that. Fleming probably throws like 30 pitches or so. But again, it's more like you want the front end stuff. But did we just lose Bobby? Is Bobby he just disappear on us? I just saw him go away. Did maybe we have some internet issues over there? Not really sure, but now he can't rebut. I will play the role of Bobby until he comes back. Let's see. Milwaukee at poker, Pittsburgh. I agree with you. I would consider putting Pittsburgh all the way down at the bottom too, but it is a jump in ballpark. Rowdy's pretty cheap. He's fine. Sawinski, again, he's another pinch at risk, I guess, if a lefty comes in. I've not dug into their lefty bullpen stuff. Yeah, a little mini. I don't mind the Pittsburgh is like a little mini stack. But, Triolo, I guess Taylor's super cheap, and you're just shooting for a homer. He can do that. So, yeah, we'll keep Pittsburgh where they're at. Roulette and Milwaukee right in the middle. Texas and the Angels, one of the other bigger totals on the board. Texas close to 5, locked in for 9 against Roansy Contreras. Speaking of failed prospects or prospects that have not quite got there, similar to Priester, Contreras is one of those guys, former Pirate actually, who kind of looked the part sometimes, but just it doesn't put it together. Probably not going very deep either. Taking on Texas, Mad Max. I think he threw 90 pitches last time out, so his leash is essentially safe, right? Like it is what it is. He's not going to throw 100, I would imagine, but he's more or less, no longer it's like a big leash issue. Contreras taking on Scherzer. No Texas lineup just yet, unless it just dropped. It did not. Talk to me about the Rangers and the Angels.
Rangers I think they're going to go in the craps tier for me because they are my second favorite stack behind the Red Sox. I don't think we have that lineup out yet, but I think they're all pretty much very reasonably priced. Seager is one of my favorite plays on the entire slate. I love going back to White Langford. I love Semien. So really they are my number 2 stack on the board. And then the Angels are going to be definitely in war for me because I think I'm a little bit higher on Scherzer. I think this is a really good spot for him. So if he doesn't have it against LA, then I think he's in trouble for the rest of the year.
You're talking about Max. Yeah, the Ks, it's just 16 innings, right? The Ks in the season, less than 18%, 17.7% if you want to get all technical. Swinging strikes are better at 10.7%. The walks are in check at 4.8%. It's funny. I see Shannon in chat says Keston Hiura batting cleanup not doing it for you. I actually think Keston Hiura is a really interesting cheapie to make stuff work. If you're not playing Max, and he's the kind of guy that profiles as the person that's going to homer off Max. So, if I have to roster Keston Hiura as my punt, he's the kind of punt I like because he's swinging for the fences. He's trying to stick around in the majors. Who knows how many more chances he's going to get. So he's not looking to punch out a single. You know what I mean? So right. I like Keston Hiura. And we saw, he's got awesome ability against AAA pitchers. He has that quad A tag right now. But I think he's a really interesting cheapie. And second base is not exactly loaded. I think we have Bobby coming back. There is Bobby. Bobby, welcome back. Are we all good?
Oh. I'm back. Yeah, I'm back. I think it might be time for a new computer for me. I don't know what's going on.
It's a write-off. Come on, Bobby. No? Maybe?
Yeah, it's a write-off. But I've had it for so long. I'm happy that I like it, Just I don't know.
Yeah.
It's been rough lately.
Do you have any thoughts as far as Texas and the Angels? We got Texas all the way up top in craps. The Angels hanging out in roulette. Does that work for you?
It works for me. I think Corey Seager is like absolutely on fire right now. So for craps, I think he works. I think he's the best play on the slate. Angels and roulette, like Scherzer should mow here. I think you could put them in war, but I'll leave them in roulette to keep my edge over Tim at 2-1.
Now you're just playing defense. You're parking the bus. If you like soccer, you would know that term. You're parking the bus is what they call that. That is well played. K-Town's Finest has a good question. Is Ray and Lodolo pairing, is that different and viable, Tim? Well, it's different.
Yes.
It's
definitely
different.
different.
Is it viable? Is it viable?
Not for me, but I don't want to
No
play
Neil
your money.
Cruz? Yeah.
Right. I know, but no, not for me.
Atlanta, Arizona, like the slate.
That is a
better.
better Bobby. That's a better Bobby question. Do you have any Ray Lodolo, Bobby?
I have Ray and Lodolo, yes, but I have to change up. I'm gonna bump Gallon after the show, so I don't know.
Yeah. You have them in the pool, but you think you're playing them together? You're not like intentionally not playing together, but yeah, I guess that's the question. Is pairing them together, I suppose. But like, I suppose it could have happened organically. We can check back with you.
Every time I go into my Opto, my computer dies.
Well,
I have 44 teams out of 5,000.
How many of those 5,000? You're just running teams all day long, aren't you? All right. Chris Sale taking on Zach Gallen. This is part of the reason why I don't know if I love Ray, because there is a real opportunity cost at pitcher tonight. Two really good pitchers, Zach Gallen, Chris Sale, 7.5 total. Bobby, this is yours. The Braves against the Diamondbacks. Atlanta's a slight favorite here, minus 120. No Atlanta lineup just yet, for what it's worth. Arizona looks I was going to say looks pretty standard, but no Corbin Carroll against the lefty, which makes sense. He's not starting today with Chris Sale on the mound. They don't like to throw a lot of lefties at him. They are throwing Alec Thomas and Jake McCarthy, but no Carroll. What do you have as far as Arizona and Atlanta?
I'm going to put Atlanta in roulette. I like Gallen tonight. We'll go Atlanta in roulette. Arizona's going to stay in poker. Christian Walker's going yard. Christian Walker versus Chalk Sale. I think Christian Walker's in a really good. They've been good against lefties all year, Arizona. Like I could put them up higher for the leverage, but we'll leave them in poker.
What you think? Christian Walker is feeling the snub, the All-Star snub. He didn't make the team. Now, maybe some flop flag from yesterday. That was his first game since they announced him not making the All-Star. I guess they didn't announce, hey, he didn't make it, but his name wasn't called. They don't do it that way. Maybe he'll become a replacement or something like that. But
just last week, he was the hottest hitter on the planet. So I think that he's going to get his first at bat tonight. Home run, Christian Walker.
Yeah, Arizona is interesting. Nobody's going to play him because Chris Sale. He's been the best pitcher on the slates. But yeah, if you want to make the argument, so Arizona, like as far as 150 lineups you're making, right, Bobby? What percent can you eyeball it? Obviously, your stuff's going to change. Maybe 5% Arizona stacks. That's well above the field. Or is that something you've considered?
I have 4% currently, and they're just 3-mans because I don't want to play into Atlanta's bullpen because Atlanta has the best bullpen in the league. So I think poker's perfectly fine for Arizona. Don't play them as a 5-man. If you do, play them as a 2 or 3-man. Avoid that Atlanta bullpen, but I do think that the 2 or the 3-mans are good one-offs against, or are good leverage against Sale.
Tim, your thoughts?
I would put them both in roulette. Don't have as much faith in Arizona as Bobby. Don't hate the Walker call. That's fine. But as a stack, even a 3-man, I don't really like that much.
I was curious. I wanted to see the best Sierra bullpen in baseball. And in my head, I thought it was Seattle or Philadelphia. And if Philadelphia is the number one team, I think they had at least one of their relievers make the All-Star team. The one who looks like he's going to steal the Declaration of Independence. Maybe producer Steve can find that. Philadelphia's got the best bullpen according to Sierra, then Cleveland, then Atlanta, then the Giants in Minnesota, Seattle. So Seattle's 6. I think Seattle will be a little bit better, but their starters are pretty awesome too. Tim, you agreed on both accounts. Is that correct? My apologies. I was pulling up the bullpen.
I brought Arizona down to roulette.
I actually like Bobby's argument, and I don't think you have to play a lot of them, but I think they're interesting as quote-unquote leverage. Good ballpark, and there's not a lot of great offenses anyway. And the other part of it is Atlanta's got a great bullpen, sure, but hypothetically, if Arizona's up 7-1 in the third, they're not bringing out their best relievers. They're bringing up the mop-up guy. The back end, every bullpen has, the belly that you can get to. It's somewhat vulnerable. So that's how that works. All right, Seattle, speaking of good bullpen, Seattle taking on San Diego. Tim, this is your board. Logan Gilbert, Adam Mazer, more walks than strikeouts so far. Logan Gilbert. Speaking of the All-Star game, it was a cool video on the Twitter having him call. He was calling up his mom and dad, inviting him to come out and watch him pitch, telling me he made the All-Star team. That was always, I love those videos. Those are always pretty cool. That's on the interwebs.
Twins just got PVD.
Oh, there it is. Shout out to Roth. Roth had this one all day long.
Yeah.
All right. So there you go. Now we're down to 9. Down to 9 games. And
nine
it should
games.
be it's getting well, it's still orange yellow in Cincinnati, so we got to keep an eye on that one too. Roth will be on in about 10 minutes or so. But yeah, give me your assessment here, Tim, as far as Seattle and the Padres.
I really like Seattle tonight. I would strongly consider. I'd put them blackjack. They might even be craps, but I'm going to go blackjack. Mazer is absolutely terrible. Doesn't look like Seattle's coming with a lot of ownership either. So I'm going to go with Seattle in blackjack. But honestly, with their prices and their ownership, you could easily put them in craps.
By the way, J-Rod is like 2.8 on FanDuel. You know, FanDuel is more reactive to like how well you're doing in the last couple of weeks. So he's 2.8 over there. He's 5K on DK. You got to pay for the name still, but just I thought that was pretty interesting.
Sorry, but Cal Rowley's 2.9 on FanDuel.
Yeah, they're pretty cheap. They're really cheap to make work. FanDuel always has like the 2.9, 3, 3.1, 3.2 plays that it's a lot of good stuff in the middle. Harder to get guys like Jordan Alvarez or Aaron Judge, that kind of thing, or Ohtani. Of course, 2 of those guys are not in the slate. Any issues here, Bobby? Seattle in blackjack and the Padres in poker against Logan Gilbert.
No, that looks good to me. I like Big Dumper. I like the Seattle team in general versus Mazer. I also like San Diego a little bit on the other side for just in terms of like a 3-man or 2-man. So yeah, San Diego works in poker. That's fine.
I would have Seattle. I would have San Diego lower personally, but you guys agreed, so I cannot touch it. But I think that they should be in roulettes. Okay, last game. I'm being told in chat there is some potential BBP as well. Soler and Chapman. We don't have Chop today, but I don't have access to his BBP suggestion model. But now I'm going to pull it up on the fly. I was thinking Soler is a really, really good one-off against Kikuchi. He seems like the guy who profiles against Kikuchi. He's going to get 3 cracks at it. Like he's leading off, so very good chance he sees him 3 times. I wonder what his homer odds are. Of course, the ballpark stinks. And their all-star representative, Leo Ramos, has a lot of homers too. I don't mind. It's like one of those both ways. I think you can play Kikuchi. I think you can play a little mini. Or I guess you can play for San Fran. Soler, Ramos, Chapman. They got Conforto in the middle with the lefty. Of course, once upon a time, people still believe that Wilmer Flores is a lefty masher. I'm not sure if he still is. But all right. I think it's just Bobby's board, Kikuchi, Blake Snell. We never know what you're going to get there either. Not a big number because, pitchers, ballpark, it's cavernous in San Fran, 7.5. Giants, Blue Jays. Bobby, go.
Yeah, so for me, I like the San Fran bats in poker. I think Chapman's super sneaky on this slate versus Kikuchi. Little revenge matchup here versus the Blue Jays, too. Ooh. We know how everyone likes revenge, especially the chat. I think you'll get him relatively low owned. Him and Soler, I think, would are an interesting mini or to start a mini. And then the Blue Jays, I'd throw the Blue Jays in roulette. I don't love the Blue Jays. Is Schneider in the lineup or that would be it? Like, I don't really love the Blue Jays. Not that I want to play Schnell too much, but I think that you could make a case to play Snell. It's just the Blue Jays don't strike out. I don't know. The Blue Jays in roulette is fine.
Vladdy's another one of those guys that's cheaper on FanDuel. He's like 3-1 over there. I did check out the BBP. We got Matt Chapman, 16 at bats. That's a huge sample. 5 hits, 3 singles, and 2 homers, 3 walks, 4 strikeouts. Again, Chapman's the kind of guy that profiles pretty well against Kikuchi and his fly balls. But Jorge Soler and 8 at bats. So really doing this 8 at bats. Come on, people. 8 at bats, 3 homers, a single, and 2 homers. 3 hits, 2 homers, 3 strikeouts. But like
Jonathan,
that kind of makes sense.
Yeah, Jonathan India has been scratched, just so everyone knows.
Okay. Who's gonna play? Like Espinal? Is that who's gonna jump in there?
That's a very odd lineup. I mean, the bottom half of that lineup is already incredibly young, and now India's gone.
Yeah, we saw Hines got his first homer ever in the majors. So good for him. But is he still 2K? Rios, I believe, is 2K as well. There's some really cheap guys. Of course, you got to pay up for De La Cruz. You want to pay up for him. I wonder if they're going to move somebody up to the 1 spot, or I'm curious what they do there. Like if it's Espinal, would they throw Espinal right in the 1 spot? That would be kind of weird. But I'm curious to see what they do with that Cincinnati lineup. Do we have enough likes for Taters? We got Tim Taters. Tim, I'm sure you have a couple for the people.
Not yet.
Oh, were you not? Did you not know that would be a thing that might be prompted at some point on the show? Okay.
Maybe.
Well, we got to hit the like button anyway. And then Bobby bombs. Do we have any Bobby bombs for the people? Bobby blasts? Home runs?
Currently, can I say Corey Seager? Is that
you could have said Matt
Corey
Chapman.
Seager works.
Sure. Okay, you can say whatever you want. Yeah.
Corey Seager on the high end.
Okay.
JJ Bleday would be another one.
Ooh, I like it. Sneaky
No power.
Oakland. I think the Bleday one's a pretty good call. So Steer is leading off for Cincy now. Steer, De La Cruz, Candelario, Stevenson, Rios, Marte, Hines, Espinal did jump in the lineup, but yes, they did not throw him in the 1 spot. That would be egregious. He's batting 8th. Benson still stuck in the 9 hole with his 150 batting average, whatever it is. But he does have a power, and he can steal if he finds his way to get on base. Did we buy enough time for Tim? Do we have some taters for the people?
I like Josh Smith plus 600 on FanDuel. Obviously, I love the Corey Seager call. I don't think I can bet that number, though, so I'm going to go Josh Smith.
What's the number, like 280 or something?
It's lower than that.
Is it?
It's the best you can get is 230. That's the best number.
That's a pass for me.
What's Langford?
Yeah, he was going to be my next one. He's plus 480. I mean, not great, but decent. I like him quite a bit tonight too. So I'm going to go Josh Smith and Langford.
I'm seeing Soler at BetMGM at plus 425, 420 on FanDuel. Kind of like that. I think that's I'm just looking at sort of odd stuff. That's what kind of jumping out to me. All right, we have crunch time coming in here momentarily. The return of Kevin Roth. I believe we got Keith Eyster as well, and Dave Potts. Cheeseisgood. They'll be coming in just a minute. They'll be coming in shortly. Big T dropping in saying Jorge Polanco dong for Bobby Gomes. Are you a Polanco guy, Bobby? Is there a backstory here?
I like Seattle, so I could go with Polanco as well. Happy to see Big T in the YouTube chat. Nice to see. I haven't heard from Big T in a while. Tell him to text me sometime. Good. Nice of him to drop in.
I called him and he was too busy returning TVs, unfortunately, and he never got back to me. But I miss Big T as well. Well, I'm sure we'll catch up one of these days. Hey, knocking on the door. It's Dave Potts. It's Kevin Roth. It's Keith Eyster. It's crunch time. Let's bring him in. What is up, Roth? You got 2 postpones. You basically called your shot earlier in the day, and you're kind of going back and forth on that one. Firstly, by the way, we have plenty of time because now we're down to 9 games, and first pitch is 7:10. Yes, that is. How do you feel about first pitch at 10?
Yeah. Well, it should be at 7. It should just be at 7 sharp every day. I don't understand this 7:05, 7:10 nonsense. It's outrageous.
Take a cue from the NBA and then start the game at 7:15 and scratch players at 7:09. Is that what you're suggesting? Is that what you want?
That's it. That's the move. Clearly, that's the way to do it.
I can't see any problems with that. Your day yesterday, miserable, better than expected, worse than expected.
I got lucky. There's still like 1.5 million people without power in Houston, and my power is on. It got turned on. Like I lost power, but now it's back. So I feel pretty good. I feel like I won the lottery, honestly.
I saw people were using the.
I texted a guy. You're welcome.
Thank you, Cheese. Someone said, "Grab a beer, Roth Pacifico." So yeah, don't you worry. We're ready, boys. We're getting it going.
Glad you guys made it out as safely as it could be expected. I saw people were using the Whataburger app. I guess Whataburger was telling people where power is and where power isn't. That was the best available app. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, if the Whataburger, if the Whataburger's open and you can look at the Whataburger app, then you know that neighborhood has power. So the easiest way to figure out where you have power is to look at the map of available Whataburgers, which is insane but very Texas.
Do you have a strong Whataburger take or a Buc-ee's take if you're the Texas team?
Yeah, Buc-ee's is awesome, and Whataburger is actually kind of trash. And if you say that to Texans, they will punch you in the face. But it's true.
They will.
It's not very good. It's fine.
That is a bold proclamation. I don't know if anybody on the board has any Whataburger experience or wants to retort, but the chats, we're gonna have some Texans in chat that'd be very upset with that take. Just wait for it to come in.
It's the truth, Dean.
I appreciate you not holding back, but Dave, you've been all around. You probably had a Whataburger.
Well, for some random reason, we have one here. I mean, I'd eaten at them in Texas. Like, there's one in Opelika, Alabama, 10 minutes from here. I don't know how they chose that. I've been there once, and I don't feel like I need to go back. It's fine. I'm not opposed to it, but I don't like it.
See, here's my issue with it is that it's all like from scratch and made to order. So I'm getting fast food. I'm waiting in a line for 40 minutes, and then it's still a fast food burger. At the end of the day, like, I waited a long ass time for a fast food burger, and it's not very good. So I don't understand the love. That's all. I don't get it.
I'll third that. I lived in Texas for some time, and like, it is not on the level of like an In-N-Out or Five Guys. It's just not in that tier. It's closer to a McDonald's or a Burger King.
Thank you. Don't tell that to a Texan. Yeah, don't say it to a Texan.
Keep that to yourself, Keith. All right. Anything else, boys, before we step aside and get out of here, make way for crunch time? You got anything else, Tim? I see you're shaking your head no. You're ready to get out of here and fire up another best ball team. And
yes, exactly. Exactly. You nailed it, Dean.
You caught the bug. Anything else for the people here, Bobby?
No, that's it. Good luck tonight, guys.
That was Tim. That was Bobby. Hit that like button. Don't go anywhere. You have 50 minutes of crunch time all the way up the lock. You got Dave Potts. You got Keith Eyster. You have Kevin Roth. Roth, take it away.
Good stuff. Welcome to it, ladies and gentlemen. Good to be back. We had the hurricane yesterday. Wasn't able to join on the show, but shout out to, I assume TJ. Was it TJ who jumped in? Yeah. Shout out to TJ. He always is hopping in when I need a little assistance. But I'm glad to be back, and I'm very glad that Chicago finally postponed this game. They are making me real nervous with it should have been postponed at 9 a.m. And when they didn't, I started to freak out a little bit. But Chicago postponed, and the other one, what's the other one that was ugly all day?
St. Louis. Yeah,
St. Louis. That's it. Yeah. And maybe it was both of them. Yeah, that game also postponed. And it really leaves us with only one game with likely issues. There's a few low chances of a delay. That does include Boston, by the way. Low chance of a delay in Boston, but I think whatever you were planning on doing there, you just do it, even if it was pitchers. The game that I just don't know about is Cincinnati. And I know you want me to tell you, like, this is what's going to happen, but here's the truth. If they dodge the pop-ups, they're going to play most, if not all of that game without issues. If one of those pop-ups goes over the ballpark and causes a delay, that could happen at any time, and pitchers are toast. And then the storms that are supposed to arrive right towards the end of that game, 8th inning, 9th inning, maybe just after the game, then those are coming in game, and that game is going to end. It is not a safe play. If you want to put them on the table, if you want to take them out and put them on the table and play it, I'm not going to stop you. I don't think it's crazy, even for pitchers, but it is not the safe play. And
to be clear, those pop-ups could fire at any point, even in the first 5 innings.
That's right. Yes, that is a distinct possibility. I don't see anything on radar right now that is super alarming, but my favorite forecast model does pop some stuff fairly early in the area. And I can't tell you if the pop-up is going to go over the ballpark or near it, but it is certainly a chance of an early delay. And if they can avoid the delay, the game's good. I think it's a perfectly fine tournament play, but I would not put all my eggs in that basket. I don't think I'd do it for cash. Yeah, I just kind of like my answer right now. I think you should hedge in that game. Don't do it all. And I know that's not, everybody wants to know, like, what's gonna happen? And the truth is, it's impossible to know. Big T, see, we got boots on the ground. We got some big boots on the ground. Big T says it's sunny at my house. And he's, for what it's worth, my boy's in Cincy. I don't know what that means, but who knows down the road? Yeah, like the sun just adds a better chance of seeing a pop-up storm, honestly. So that's what we've got, and that's all the time I will spend on weather. I will circle back at the end of the show and let you know how radar looks, and if it looks good, if it looks terrible, I'll let you know. As of now, it looks okay, but then pop-ups could literally happen anytime. That's what I got. So let's move on. Cheese, you want to talk about pitchers? I didn't even say hey Cheese, what's up?
Hey, I just want to start by telling you how much I appreciate you. I do not doubt for a second when you say something, when a red pops up on my screen in the morning, you save me 45 minutes of musings. I never for 1 second considered any player in either of those games for a second, so I don't have to redo any lineups. I never doubted for a second. It was never anywhere in my radar, either of those games, and there you go.
That's great, because I started questioning myself. It's about an hour ago. I was like, damn, this is going to look bad when they play the whole game and there's no delay. But I'm glad. Thank you. I'm glad I could save you some time. We got Keith Eyster, a.k.a. the Iceman, in the house as well. What up, Ice?
Not too much. Fun slate ahead of us. Lost a couple of games, but there's still plenty to work with here. So be a good one to break down.
You did not say that you had all the faith in me in the world. Were you planning on playing some Chicago guys there?
I put in a bet on Bailey over strikeouts at like midnight last night before the weather report. So I was sweating that a little bit. I really wanted to play him in DFS as well. And you left open the possibility that if they do play it, it should be fine, just because the rain will be light enough. But I'm glad that it's postponed and we don't even have to worry about it. I would have been sweating that strikeout bets pretty hard, because with a wet baseball, you just don't get the same kind of spin and rotation. Your control is off. It would have been a nightmare. So glad that one's PPD.
You would have lost that bet. Let's be real. That bet would not have gone well for you. Okay, well, let's dive into the slate. Cheese, lead us off. Talk to me about what we're looking at here. Pitcher wise now, I guess we've lost, Ober and maybe some others that we wanted to play.
Yeah, I mean, Ober would have been chalk, if in good weather. It's pretty interesting now. I guess Chris Sale is not like mega chalk because of the salary and the matchup, which I think is fantastic, because then it's easy to get over the field. It's not like likely that this is the spot he has a ceiling game, but like a Sale non-ceiling game is still the best pitcher on this slate, like by a lot. Mm-hmm. And for some reason, I guess some reason being projections aren't going to love him because of the matchup. Like, he'll probably be the most popular pitcher, but not by enough.
I'm looking at the projected own. He's 31, Scherzer 30, and then 25, 21.
And that's I think that's wrong. I don't think Scherzer gets anything. I think give half of Scherzer's to Sale, honestly. But even like, he's not going to get to 50%. And I think he should be like 60. So I'm quite in on Sale. That's very much more a DraftKings thing. Like, he is my top pitcher on FanDuel, but he's priced way up on FanDuel. So I do not have a crazy amount on FanDuel. I'll start on FanDuel and tell you my entire pool is Sale, Gallen, and Yusei Kikuchi, and that's it. I think it's fine to play Scherzer in there if you want, but I don't need anything cheaper than Kikuchi, and I just don't like enough of these pitchers better than those three guys. That's it. I'm not goofing around there.
Okay, but on DK, you
do need to
pitchers.
Goof around
you got more
a
options.
Bit. Yep. So if salary is no thing at all, I would lean to Sale and Gallen, and it's totally fine to play them in the same lineup. I know somebody will ask, since they're opposing each other. It doesn't matter. Only one of them needs to get a win, or neither. So Sale and Gallen. I'm still playing Lodolo. He's in that Cincinnati game. Just, he's not like my highest owned pitcher or anything, but he's still right in the thick of that mix. I think Scherzer is just the super wild card here. Like, he's only made 3 starts. He does not look like old Scherzer yet, but the underlying stuff doesn't look that much worse than old Scherzer. I think he's fine. But given that he's a little bit more expensive than these other guys, I'm playing more Gallen, Lodolo, and then a lot more Kikuchi. I'm playing a weird amount of Kikuchi, and it's not that I just love him. It's just that little bit of salary for a guy who's just pretty good in San Francisco just makes a lot of difference in the lineups. So I have a ton of him. The cheap nonsense is bad, and I will tell you that I'm playing it. I'm playing Trevor Rogers for 5K against Houston. Guy just throws the ball, and Houston just hits it to one of the fielders, and he's 5K. I don't see anyone outside of maybe Sale breaking a slate. Like, I think it's one of those you get 10 points from a cheap pitcher as opposed to 20 from an expensive pitcher. I'm fine with that. I am even playing a guy who might not even pitch, and if he does, is bad. That being Quinn Priester.
That's not great, geez. That's not a good sign.
It's not great, and he's not even super cheap. I wrote about this in the musings today. I just super stubbornly think the guy is good.
Okay.
That's it. That's all I can tell you. I will reiterate what I said in the musings. I am not recommending to you to play him. I think he's a terrible play. I'm just letting you know that I'm probably going to win a bunch of money with him, and I just want it on the record that I am playing him. Okay?
So delusional. I love it.
Colin Ray at 7,400, and Blake Snell, our old friend Blake Snell at 7,800, and Jose Quintana at 6,900. Like, that little bunch, I think is fine. They're a little cheaper than Kikuchi. The Pirates lineup's a little watered down, so I do think Ray is okay, and I would play him ahead of Quintana. I don't think I have any Blake Snell. If I do, I have one Blake Snell. I just need to see him look alive. And that's it.
Yeah. Okay. That's fair. I will start as I bring in Ice here. Do you have this clown who might not pitch, isn't good, and isn't cheap? Do you have any of him in your pool?
I do not have the stones to play Quinn Priester or Trevor Rogers, for that matter. He's the best in the world at doing this. So,
Kevin, you would love my Priester Rogers lineup. You would love it.
Oh, I may need to jam that in. I've got some radar to watch, so I don't have time to. But man,
it's terrible. You don't need to do that.
It's all right. So, what are you looking at pitcher wise, Ice?
At the top end, Chris Sale and Zach Gallen are the two that I definitely want to be well over the field on in tournaments. I think they each have the highest upside on the slate. From there, there's really nothing that feels comfortable. Scherzer has not been good. Strikeout rate is under 18% so far this season. But the leash is back, so we know he's going to be in that 95 pitch count range more than likely. The matchup is great against the Angels. I just don't love the ownership number that we're seeing on him, so I have him roughly even with the field. Hopefully he comes in a little lower, like Cheese was saying he possibly could, and I end up slightly over on Scherzer. Lodolo is a guy that I wanted to go way overweight on, but that forecast has me a little bit concerned there. If a delay comes in, I think he's a guy they will be pretty cautious with, especially since he's just returning from an injury. It was a blister issue, so nothing serious there, but I still think he's a guy the Reds would be pretty careful with. He's a big part of their future, but love his matchup against Colorado. Wish I could just jam him in way over the field. Going to back off that a little bit and add in a little bit of Kikuchi. The strikeouts have come down for Kikuchi as the season has went along, but this is kind of the perfect ballpark for him out there in San Francisco. It should protect him against his biggest issue, which is the home run ball. San Francisco is not an offense that we're really afraid of either. Colin Ray is really interesting to me. He's been phenomenal this season, and that Pittsburgh lineup that did not contain O'Neal Cruz had me adding a little bit more Colin Ray into my pool. And I also have a pretty big overweight stance on Blake Snell now. Toronto has one of the lowest strikeouts in baseball against lefties, but Blake Snell can strike out anybody when he's right. He has not been right at all this season, but we do know the talent is in there. Maybe this latest time off got him to work on some things and get himself back on track. He's a guy who has the upside for 10 strikeouts when he's going well in any matchup. So I will be over the field on Blake Snell. That him and Colin Ray is as cheap as I'm going on this slate. I'm not messing with anything below that.
Okay, can I ask
guys lower than that? I'm going to name them for you.
Yeah,
you didn't even
know.
Want.
Someone said, "Do you have the balls to play Mazur? Is that a real person?"
He is.
Barely.
He's facing Seattle, who we picked on all season long because of the strikeouts. But no, thank you. His walk rate is higher than his strikeout rate.
Seems
he wishes he was Quinn Priester. Honestly, that guy is the worst. No joke. He is the worst pitcher in the league.
Ice, can you give me your ownership on Sale and Scherzer as it compares to Field? I don't need your exact numbers, but just like overweight, underweight.
Yeah, so Scherzer I have like right at about 30%, hoping that he just comes in a little lower than we have him projected. Sale I've got up around 45 to 50% as my highest owned pitcher, right behind Gallon. I've got Gallon up in that range also.
Okay, very good. Let's switch it, talk about some of the bats and some of the stacks. I have not been, I've just been staring at weather all day. I have no idea what's good, what's chalky. So Ice, why don't you lead us off in that department?
Yeah, let's do it. Boston has the highest team total on the slate by a good margin. They're facing a pitcher who just threw a complete game shutout. So hopefully there's some concern there. He pitches in Oakland most of the time. He shut out the Angels his last start, but he goes into Fenway Park today. It's going to be a wildly different outcome for Mr. Estes there facing the Red Sox.
The weather is also really good for hitting in Fenway tonight, and it never is good for hitting, where he usually pitches. So that matters.
Yeah, definitely matters. So fully buying that implied total for Boston there. They're one of the top stacks on the slate for me, along with the Rangers, who get a matchup against Roansy Contreras. The Rangers have been really good here recently. Contreras, he's not fully stretched out, first of all, so we're going to get quite a bit of that bullpen. And Contreras hasn't been all that good. Got DFA'd by the Pirates and is now with the Angels. So just hasn't been the prospect that he was supposed to be. Very hittable, has control issues. Should be plenty of traffic on the bases for the Rangers. Houston against Cheese's boy Trevor Rogers is one of my favorite stacks. Jordan is a little bit banged up, so that's said in jest, obviously. Houston is Jordan's banged up, so there's a little concern there. They're cheap beyond Jordan, though, so I still like that stack. Trevor Rogers has not been all that solid this season. And then the Mariners against the aforementioned Adam Mazur, also one of my favorite stacks on the slate. They strike out too much, but Mazur has not been able to strike out anybody, and they do have some power in the lineup. So Seattle is one of my top stacks. A little tier break then to the Reds because of the weather. I like their matchup against Cal Quantrill, who's kind of been hit or miss. He's had his moments this season, but has never been a huge strikeout guy. The Brewers against the Josh Fleming, Quinn Priester combination, I think are really interesting. And then it's a pretty big jumbled mess beyond that. The A's are a team that I'll shout out against Brian Bayo, who I think is at least an average pitcher, but he gets by on ground balls more than strikeouts. And the A's have plenty of power, and they get a massive ballpark upgrade with good weather going into Fenway Park. So I think the A's are pretty sneaky tonight.
Okay, excellent. Cheese, talk to me about your favorite stacks.
Pretty similar. Like Red Sox and Rangers are very obvious top two teams. I think that's your chalk. And I don't think anything outside of that is something you need to worry about ownership. If you have anything other than those two that's your favorite team, just know that you're ahead of the field.
Mm-hmm.
The team I have the most of is weird. Everything about this slate, I'm playing some weird nonsense, and I like all my lineups suck.
You're just to the point of the season. You're getting bored, and you're just like trying.
Yeah,
new things
I think that's what it is. But that's your Miami Marlins. I love the Marlins. I think Blanco is the most fraudulent fraudster in the world. He's not good. And they're cheap and low owned. It's similar to the Oakland thing. Like teams that are mostly cheap. I mean, Oakland has Rooker you can spend up on, but there's some decent hitters at the top of those lineups. Other than that, I'm definitely on Seattle as well. I will always stack against Blake Snell. So Toronto's on the list. I was going to be playing Pirates, but I don't like it nearly as much without Cruz. Even having Grandal out hurts them a little bit. I just wanted more lefties in there. So, yeah. That's it.
Okay, that's fair. I don't know if we've got the blender. It seems that this may be a blender slate, and you could
play wherever you want.
Oh, good. Jesus, I love that. I don't know why, but man, I love it. You feel Cheese legitimately maybe outside of like stacking against Sale, like
Yeah, I mean, so basically, I mean, yeah, I don't think I have any Arizona. I have like one Brave stack against Gallen. I don't think I have a Padres stack against Gilbert, although it's like anything's kind of viable. But even some of the good, like we don't know who Max Scherzer is right now. I have some Angels.
Yeah.
The Mets and Nationals game is like no one's going to play anything on either side of that game, and I kind of like both those teams. Yeah, it's a little bit of everything.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. Cheese. I like this, by the way. Cheese is the kid who always says he's going to fail a test and ends up getting an A. That was me growing up. And Cheese, it does feel like that might be you to a degree. Like I feel like you're going to win it all, saying like these lineups are shitty.
Well, what's
right?
weird?
And that's the key.
I mean, really, the days you feel great about your lineups are not, on the whole, any better than the days you feel bad about your lineups. Like I think we've all played long enough to know that's true.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, because we're all in the same boat, we're all feeling bad about it.
Yeah. If you're not playing Texas or Boston, like we're all just guessing tonight.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, let's talk about, let's kind of dive into position by position. We'll go around the horn. We'll start with some catcher talk and Cheese. I assume there's some good catchers. There usually are.
Yeah. So
where are the normal names?
Yeah. So that's the problem. A lot of the normal names at every position are not there.
Uh-huh.
And so every position outside of just a couple guys, I'll let me just highlight the slate. Devers at third and Seager at short are your mega chalk, obvious great plays. Other than that, the entire slate is a bunch of like kind of okay plays. They're not bad, but none of them are great. And that starts at catcher. Cal Raleigh's my favorite guy. You see him with all the dots. But it's just a big mess with him. Langelier, I like a lot. Jonah Heim is a little cheaper. Connor Wong and Diaz. I have a little Hunter Goodman. There's nothing that I just love. And so Raleigh is really the only guy I'm trying to play on his own. And this is much more of a play a catcher in your stack kind of day than usual.
Okay. Ice, I'm looking at the big dumper here. He's got 4 little RG experts who approve 4 tags, but his ownership isn't.
If you had a tag, he'd have a
obviously.
fifth.
He gets every day. He has my honorary tag because he's the big dumper. Ice, anything that stands out to you, a catcher?
Yeah, I love Raleigh as well. I think he's going to be a little more owned than we have here, just because he is a catcher for number one. I don't think the Seattle stack will be all that owned, but the matchup against Mazer and Raleigh is just a guy that people like to play, probably because of his awesome nickname. Beyond that, I like Jonah Heim a good amount. Connor Wong in a Red Sox stack, certainly. Stevenson, if I'm stacking Reds, note the weather there, a little bit of risk. Langelier is a guy I love as a one-off, or even in an Oakland stack, like the ballpark upgrade for them here today. And Yainer Diaz in a Houston stack.
Okay, great. How about first base, Ice?
All right. First base is just kind of mediocre. There's nothing really to love here. The top guy is probably Spencer Steer. Again, that's the game with a little bit of risk for delay. I think you can save some money here with a guy like Tyler Soderstrom. Rhys Hoskins in the mid-range looks really good. Something cheap, you can goof around with like a Juan Yepez, an Edwin Rios, who's also in that Cincinnati weather game. It's not the strongest position, to be honest. Up top, you have guys like Christian Walker against Sale. Nobody's playing that, but I wouldn't be surprised if Walker took Sale deep. Pete Alonso, kind of the same type of play on the other in that top range as well. Just hunting for a home run from a really good hitter.
Okay, great. Cheese, your thoughts at first?
Yeah, the top guys are like, they're fine, but they're not great. Like Alonso and Vlad and Walker, and it's all like, sure, that's fine. But they're barely better than the guys who are essentially like minimum salary on DK, with like Rios and Juan Yepez. And in the mid tier, I like Jake Berger. I like Rhys Hoskins. Candelario, I like probably as much as Steer, even without the discount. I just don't see a lot of reason to spend up unless you're doing a stack and just have the money.
Okay. I think that brings us to second base, Cheese.
I guess Semien is probably the chalk and or David Hamilton. Certainly in Red Sox stacks, Hamilton will be popular. That should leave. I mean, Altuve is not really off the board's not the term for it, but I think Altuve, sneaky-ish. Brendan Rodgers interests me a little bit. Jorge Polanco as a cheap guy. Yeah, that's it. Like, it's the same. It's fine. It's all fine, but none of it's amazing.
Okay. Ice. Mark D wants to know if Keston Hiura batting cleanup in the year of our Lord 2024, what a country, what a time to be alive, is interesting to you.
The power is interesting. He's facing Max Scherzer. He's really cheap and he has power. That's
but we don't know who Scherzer is, right?
Yeah, Scherzer is a fly ball pitcher who will give up home runs. That is a fair statement. So yeah, I'm okay with it. I don't love it. I don't think Hiura has suddenly figured it out. He's still going to strike out way too much, but there is power there, and it is a good spot to chase home runs in. At that salary, I'm okay with it.
Okay, what else?
At the top, yeah, at the top, it's definitely Marcus Semien and David Hamilton. I like the Altuve call quite a bit as well. He has not been great against lefties this season, but Trevor Rogers has not been great either, so totally fine with that matchup there for Altuve. Polanco for the Mariners, I think, is really interesting in the mid-range. It gets pretty dicey beyond that. That's my main pool. I don't mind a Zach Geloff in Fenway. Davis Schneider, if you're chasing that Snell is still broken, is totally fine. Jared Triolo for cheap in that Pittsburgh lineup. But yeah, nothing else really standing out.
Okay, I'm going to give a quick little Dean says Hiura is currently in my main lineup. There you go. All right, we approve of that. Hoosiers Hang Banner says any weather updates in Cincy. I was just about to give one. We are like this. We are on. I think the likely outcome is that it's going to work out. And that means for pitchers and for hitters, rain probably arrives towards the end of the game or just after the game. 8th, 9th inning, or just after it. There is still that legitimate chance, and I am not just saying this to cover my ass. There is a legitimate chance that a pop-up storm causes a delay in the 3rd or 4th inning. Yep, that's and then everything's toast, right? And then everything that you wanted to do, then the bats are screwed because they're not going to finish. Then the pitcher's done. Like, that is still a legitimate possible outcome. But I think the significantly more likely outcome is that it works out. So that's where I'm at. Maybe like 70-30 or 80-20 that it works. That's essentially where I stand on that. Okay, with that, I think we are at third base. Ice, is it on you at third?
It is.
Cool.
As Cheese already said, Devers is like the top play on the slate by a country mile, along with Seager. Looks fantastic here against Estes, a low strikeout fly ball pitcher in Fenway Park with warm weather. Awesome spot for Rafael Devers. Beyond that, I think you can go all the way down. Rhys Hines in that game that Kevin just said it will be totally fine in Cincinnati.
Yeah. By the way, just as you mentioned that, Lord King Guru in chat pointing out there is a tornado watch in Cincinnati. So like when I tell you if there's a pop-up, it's over. Like there could be a tornado on the ballpark in Cincinnati.
Yeah,
like that's
70-30 sounds good, but a 30% chance of something happening is still pretty significant. Like, so I was obviously completely joking when I say that 30% is a real chance that it will happen.
Right. And the 30% chance of a delay leads to greater implications. It's not like it would just be the delay. If they get that delay, there are storms, no doubt, moving in late game. And the delay would then mean the storms are moving in mid game. And then that game's probably not finishing. So like that 30% chance of a delay is much bigger implications than if it was just a 30% chance of a delay with nothing else. So just to be clear.
Yep. All right. Beyond all the way up or all the way down with Hines, in the mid-range, I really like Alex Bregman. I really like Josh Smith for the Rangers, who's been fantastic this season. If you're spending up to be different, you could play Austin Riley. I don't like the matchup there against Gallen, but he's a really good hitter. Justin Turner against Blake Snell is totally fine. Noel V. Marte, another one of those Reds bats that I don't mind, assuming that the weather holds there. Matt Chapman is a one-off against Kikuchi I would be okay with. I think that's about all I want to highlight.
Okay. Cheese, your thoughts at third?
Yeah, first, just let me say, my entire life since I learned this, it has tilted me to no end, and it's not slowing down as I age. I cannot stand that a tornado watch is less serious than a tornado warning. Like a watch sounds like we are watching a tornado right now, and as opposed to, there's a warning, there could be something. I don't know. Every time
it's very confusing.
It's from like a very young age. I heard the term tornado watch, and I remember it popping in my head like, these people are watching a tornado. We're all going to die. And
right, we're literally watching one happen.
Yes.
There it is. I'm watching it, but no, it is not that.
But anyhow,
yeah.
Beyond that, play Devers, top play on the slate. Obviously, he'll be chalky, but not chalky enough, in my opinion. I agree on DK. Just go down to Hines if you're not spending up. Mid-tier, Jake Berger is my favorite, although I prefer him at first. Fine with the other guys he mentioned. Bregman, Chapman, got some Josh Smith, but basically Devers.
Okay. Brandon Leach, hang on. Did I miss something with Irvin? The dude's been smashing and Nada on him. Maybe I'm missing something here.
He's been fantastic for the last 2 months. And he's expensive now. I don't think you're crazy to play him. He's not in my pool personally. He's still an average at best strikeout pitcher, and he's had a few big strikeout games, and he did shut down the Mets last week. So it's not like the Mets can't do anything. It's not like he can't have a great game. Mm-hmm. He's been fantastic. It looks semi-real. I don't think it's totally fluky. I think he's good, but just doesn't seem like a 9K pitcher to me, so I'm not playing him.
Okay. This comment. But Ojink says, I would pay money to see Cheese power slap a coconut. Of all the random comments that have ever been said on this show, that might be tops right there.
We'll try to work that out sometime for sure.
I don't disagree. I just have no idea why you thought that, but I agree. Jesus, that one got me. Where are we? I don't know. Shortstop, Cheese, I think.
Yeah. So right behind Devers, Corey Seager is the next superstar play on the slate. But of course, it's shortstop, so we have more options. Never tell you not to play Ellie De La Cruz, but I do prefer Seager straight up, and he's a little cheaper. I like Lindor. I like Josh Smith. I like David Hamilton. I like Willie Adames. I even kind of like CJ Abrams. This is the one position that's not bad. It's great. It's shortstop, but to me, Seager is still ahead of the field.
Okay. Ice, what do you got at short?
Yeah, Seager is to shortstop what Devers is to third base. Clearly ahead of the field, even with Ellie De La Cruz here.
Did you do good on your SAT? You got that analogy game going strong? How was your SAT score? Was it strong?
I actually did not take an SAT. I took the ACT.
What'd you get?
27, I think.
Oh, I think that's pretty strong.
It seems like a bunch of people only take one or the other. We were told you have to take both.
Yeah.
Everyone I know took both.
Yeah. All right. Okay.
Maybe times have changed.
All right. I approve of that score. Okay. Continue. Sorry.
I was a strong test taker, though. I will admit to that.
I feel like there may be a correlation between DFS players and strong test takers. I don't know. Anyways, walk me through what we're doing at short.
Yeah. Seager clearly at the top. De La Cruz, a nice pivot up there. David Hamilton has shortstop eligibility. We mentioned him at second as well. Lindor against Irvin is totally fine. I like Adames a good amount against whatever the Pirates are doing at pitcher today. Josh Smith in a Ranger stack. Don't even mind Rafaela with as many Red Sox as are going to be popular today. Good way to differentiate down there in the 9-hole. JP Crawford in a Mariner stack.
Very good. How about the outfield, good sir?
All right. So Red Sox look amazing. Jarren Duran is the very expensive one and totally worth it leading off. Yoshida is the cheaper one, kind of down there in the middle of the order. Adolis Garcia and Wyatt Langford for the Rangers both look really good. Spencer Steer for the Reds, somebody I really like. Wilyer Abreu, another Red Sox outfielder, didn't mean to leave him out. Luke Raley is a Mariners guy that I like a good amount against a weak starting pitcher. Jordan is not going to be all that popular today. I really like him. Always like to play him lefty. Tyler O'Neill for the Red Sox as well, a little bit more expensive. Cheap stuff. JJ Bleday for Oakland, one of my favorite options. I don't mind Lawrence Butler as well. I mentioned liking those A's a little bit, especially those cheap ones. Jack Sawinski as a Pirates one-off would be totally fine. I like the Houston guys as well. Chas McCormick and Jake Myers a good amount. Myers has been good against lefties this year. McCormick has not. Both of them have been great in their careers against lefties. So expect that McCormick will turn it around eventually here. Jesus Sanchez is cheap for the Marlins. There's all kinds of names here, but I think that does it for now.
Okay, Cheese, take us through the outfield. By the way, Kim completely destroying my theory that DFS players are good test takers. He'd like to point out he crushed the SAT, but still stacked the Guardians last night as they lost 1-0. So that doesn't always work.
Win
out.
some and you lose some.
Yeah, that's right. Cheese, what are we doing in the outfield?
Most of the same names that Keith mentioned. It's definitely not anywhere near as strong an outfield night as usual. I mean, you take out a lot of the obvious names, and then some of the other guys have tough matchups. The Red Sox are kind of the obvious chalk with O'Neill and Duran mostly. I like Abreu as well. I love the Marlins. You don't have to be stacking the Marlins to play a little bit of Jazz or Sanchez or even De La Cruz. I like Brian Reynolds and Brent Rooker and Lane Thomas as spend up to be a little different. JJ Bleday is my favorite of the under 4K guys on DraftKings. Also like Lawrence Butler as the super cheap guy. And that's enough to mention. There's always more names, but that's what stands out.
Sure. Okay. The people want some home run calls, and I will buy you a little bit of time to do that. While I talk about, Cheese, the thing that tilts me more than anything else in weather, and Brandon Leach pointed it out, what sounds worse, an enhanced tornado risk or a moderate tornado risk?
Obviously, we shouldn't even need to answer which one sounds worth enhanced.
Yes. However, the risk scale for tornadoes is out of 5. Enhanced is 3 out of 5, and moderate is 4 out of 5 on the risk scale. Why on earth? What person thought of that? And how are they surrounded with so many people that no one there was just like, that's ridiculous. Why would you do that? That is the legitimate scale from the Storm Prediction Center, who are the best and smartest forecasters in the world. Enhanced is 3, moderate is 4, and then there's high is 5 out of 5. That's the worst thing ever, right, Cheese?
That's terrible.
It's terrible. It's so, and it just it's so bad. As a meteorologist, it just really, really pisses you off, confuses the public. It's not good. Okay, with that, hopefully bought you some time. You get some home run picks. Ice, you're up first. What? And we've got Grant with, is that, I don't know who that is.
I think it's DeAndre Jordan.
I was going to guess DeAndre Jordan, but I didn't want to
I just put him up because he does the going yard home run calls. So
there we go.
DeAndre Jordan does.
DeAndre Jordan gives the our guy. I thought it was DeAndre Jordan. But all right, we got Grant. He's boys with DeAndre Jordan apparently.
I think that was at a live final. He told me the story of that one time on the morning grind. He was hosting.
Is Grant standing on a ladder in that picture?
Well, that's what confused me.
Isn't the guy? He's like a 7-footer, right?
Yes, DeAndre Jordan 7 feet tall.
I don't
Grant's
think Grant is like
6
6 foot. I don't think he's like 6'9" though.
He's not that tall. Right. He's not that tall. Okay, that was fascinating, and I'm glad I saw that photo. I know it exists. Ice, what do you got for some home runs here?
All right, up at the top, I will go. Give me Yordan Alvarez. I think he's just going to be a little bit too low owned today. I like Cal Raleigh a ton in the mid range, and cheaper, I will go Chas McCormick.
Okay, very good. Cheese, what do you got?
To be a little different than the obvious at the high end, I'll go Brian Reynolds. I'm doubling up on Cal Raleigh in the mid tier and Jesus Sanchez.
Okay. Dustin has the answer. Grant was sitting in his lap. That explains
Checks out.
That checks out. All right, that works. Luke is calling for a Pete Alonso bomb. Grant surprisingly did not pick Pete Alonso for the first time all season in his home run calls. So if Pete Alonso bombs tonight, it's going to be a problem. Okay. What do we do now? We take some questions, right? Is that the plan? Hip Power, you know what? And let me check radar. Says, hey, Kevin, do you think the Cincy game gets rained out? There are these little storms. Jeez. There are these little storms south of Cincinnati that should grow. I will just reiterate, it's not the safe play. That's all. Like it still probably works out, but it's going to be damn close. And I don't know. It'll start dry, and they have a legitimate chance of an early delay, and then storms definitely move in right around the end of the game, and that's the end of it. So if they get that delay, they're in big trouble. That's all I've got. Let's take some QQs. I'm starting in the Discord. By the way, I haven't read my promo. I don't want to get fired. Did you know there's never been a better time to sign up for RotoGrinders Premium? It's true. All kinds of sports going on. We've got an option for whatever level you're looking for. 6-month combo subscription, exclusive price, $469.99. That's a steal. Saving you $250 as opposed to buying 6 individual months of combo premium. And you can also get your first month of RG Premium for $40 off for a limited time. If you want to test run things, dip your toes in the water, a 3-day pass is $19.99. Check the link in the description for more info. You can't even get a case of bottled water in Houston right now for $19.99. 3 days of RG Premium for that. That is phenomenal. Highly recommend you check it out. We've got 10 minutes for some QQs. Let's see what's going down in the Discord. Rank the viable Stone Min FanDuel guys. Jeez, there's a lot of them. Rendon, Hyura, Rios, Rosario, and are they viable?
I would rank them Rios, Hyura, Rendon, Rosario. I don't really like Rendon or Rosario. I think Rios and Hyura are viable. Much more viable on DK where the salary gap is bigger. Like I might have one Rios and one FanDuel lineup. But like they're barely viable, but sure.
Okay. Razzle Dazzle Cheese, Rios or Yepes? DK Cash.
Yepes.
Okay. Ice, a very important question from Jay Brunton. Is Snell the chunnel cakeor or the chunnel cakey tonight? Is he doing the chunnel caking or is he getting chunnel caked?
I have a fairly uncomfortable amount since I've backed off of Lodolo a little bit. So I think I'm confused at how I think he's the chunnel cake or he's doing the chunnel cake.
Yeah, that's like tornado watch, tornado warning. I don't know which one is which. But yeah.
That's it. Is this moderate or enhanced? What's happening here? Okay, he is the chunnel cake or is the thought. Gonzo says we need Cheese to break out the guitar, like a few years back. It might happen. You never know. We don't put any pressure on Cheese. If the artistry wants to come out, it can. We want Dean says Ice can Cheese. Oh, well, I guess Cheese. Can Cheese briefly touch on Xavier Edwards, like his minor league stats? He seems cheap. He fits in my stack. DK single entry. Who is this kid?
Yeah, I like him a lot, except he's a shortstop only. If he was any other position, he'd probably be like my highest owned player, honestly, at 2,500. But like shortstop is the one spot I just really don't want to punt. In a Marlin stack, yes. And I do like him. Like I think I agree with what you're saying about the minor league numbers. Like he should be a guy who at least hits for some average with speed. It's just the issue of the position, and you're passing on Seager and De La Cruz and all those other guys if you play them.
Yeah. Okay. Well said. ASAP Charger says, Ice, your favorite Rangers hitter?
I mean, just in a vacuum, it's Corey Seager, but I also think Marcus Semien, Josh Smith, Wyatt Langford, they're all great, but the obvious one is Corey Seager.
Okay, great. Blink 182 says DK large field tournament, Ice, Sale and Ray, Sale and whoever that is, or Scherzer and Lodolo. Also, your thoughts on a 5-man Nat stack?
Give me the pitcher combos again.
Sale and Ray or Scherzer and Lodolo?
because of the rain risk with Lodolo, I lean to Scherzer Ray now. Or Sale Ray, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. I'll go the Sale Ray on that. The Nats stack, it's a ballpark downgrade going into Citi Field. Quintana has been really good at limiting runs for the last 2-3 years. He's not a great pitcher, but for whatever reason, he just doesn't get blown up. So because of the ballpark and the solid starting pitcher on the other side, I'm not interested.
Okay.
I have a question for after lock. Remind me to ask you, how is Blink 182's little emoji thing moving? And is this the first time noticing this? Do other people's move? Am I going crazy?
No. I just saw it, but it only moves if you like hold your clicker.
Yeah, but how is that a thing? I want mine to move.
I do too. Yeah, I'm impressed. We need to know. Blink 182. Let us know how that's happening. Cheese Razzle Dazzle says DK Cash. You like Gallon, Soderstrom, and Geloff, or Palacios, Ray, Yepes, Simeon, and Andujar. What? Hang on. What the hell just happened? Let me try that again. That was like a 3v5. I must have done that wrong.
Yeah, take the 5.
Yeah. It must be a 4v4, Cheese. Gallon, Soderstrom, Geloff, and Palacios, or Ray, Yepes, Simeon, Andujar.
The Gallon side.
Okay, great. J Sam says Ice looks like Luke Rayleigh. Can we pull up a photo, Steve, of Luke Rayleigh?
Yeah, it's weird that he knows what Luke Rayleigh looks like.
I have no idea what this man looks like. I don't even know how to pronounce his name, so obviously I don't know what he looks like. But if we could pull up a photo.
They have this. Yeah, I can see it. Yeah.
Okay. It's possible.
He's a good-looking guy for sure.
Okay, there you go. What a way to throw the compliment in there. Why is it called meteorology? You never once mentioned meteors. These are good questions. No one understands. I don't know. We're not good at naming things in our world. DK's small tournament jumping into the YouTube. By the way, hit us with a thumbs up. This has been the best show of the year. And all that we ask is that you hit us with a little thumbs up here. Cheese is Kukuki. This is the best show of the year. Say a single guy's name. Cheese is Kikuchi in FanDuel Cash okay, or is he a bit too thin? I love getting to the big Boston and Texas guys.
I'm fine with Kikuchi in Cash.
Yeah. Okay. Kikuchi or Ray, Ice, who do you prefer?
It's close. Slightly Ray for me because of the Pittsburgh lineup, but it's really close.
Okay, Ice, right back to you. DK small field tournament, Gallon Yepes or Kikuchi Soderstrom?
First one.
Your favorite stack to win it all? This is usually my favorite question, but we've had some good ones today. Cheese, your favorite stack to win it all?
Depending on what it all is, Miami.
Wow, love that. Ice, your favorite stack to win it all? Maybe something a little more mainstream?
Cheese is way off the board today. I love it. Yeah, I won't go the super obvious Rangers or Red Sox, so I'll go Houston.
Okay, great. Let's go to sorry, I just got thrown off. Cheese, where were we? Your favorite two pitchers in DK Cash?
Sale, and if you have salary, I would do Sale and Gallon.
Okay. Someone pointing out, I jumped to YouTube before I finished Discord. I thought I had scrolled all the way down in the Discord. I hadn't. Good catch. Back in the Discord. Thank you for that. FanDuel single entry, JMVP says Cheese, Gallon with a Houston stack or Scherzer with a Seattle stack?
Scherzer, Seattle.
Okay. Ice, thoughts on Quintana, Kikuchi, and single entry, and which is worse, moderate coming after enhanced, or questions about the fire emoji for Weather Edge? That's good. That's good. Quintana, Kikuchi, and single entry. What do you think?
I will lean Kikuchi there. I think they're both fine. They're both more. You need them to survive 6 innings and get the quality start more than they're going to strike out a bunch of people. But both are fine. Slightly into Kikuchi.
Okay. DK Cash Ice outfielder 3,100 and below. Right now, I've got Butler. Thank you.
DK, that was, I'm assuming.
Yep.
3,100.
In the meantime, Cheese, Sale Scherzer in cash, Sale Blanco.
No, I mean, Scherzer's fine. Like, I wouldn't yell at you for playing Scherzer. I think you can go a little cheaper. I would lean to Gallon, but I mean, Sale Scherzer is totally acceptable.
Okay.
Chas McCormick is the outfielder under 3,100 for me.
Nice. Okay. Is Miami stack versus Blanco silly? Cheese certainly hopes not. Ice between the Red Sox, Stros, Reds, and Rangers. Which team would you give the X to when making a 3-leg parlay? Depends on what the parlay is, I suppose.
Red Sox, Rangers, Stros, and who?
Red Sox, Reds.
Probably the Reds, especially since there's a chance the game could end early and you just get higher variance in shorter games.
Yeah, I like that. Blink 182, who has the moving Discord thing, says, Cheese, it is a quest he completed in a video game. Now we obviously need to know what video game are you playing.
I'm about to
Cheese
start
and I
playing some games to get a moving emoji.
We will play so that we can get a cool moving
Emoji's
round.
not the term I'm looking for. Avatar, that's what that's called,
Avatar.
right?
There you go.
Yeah, I don't know.
Let us know what game you're playing, Blink. Chinatown after lock. We're basically there. We're a minute away. My Whole Foods has 50% of all ice cream in the store. 50% off all ice cream in the store. Ben & Jerry's pints are currently $2.99. How much in this situation would Cheese buy, and would it entail borrowing a truck?
I think he would purchase an additional freezer for this.
Yeah. This has come up before. We sometimes get the $2.99 Ben & Jerry's at Kroger. I do have an extra freezer for ice cream. That's not a joke. There are sometimes other things in it, but there is a reason there's another freezer in the garage. Because when they're $2.99, like I've never bought less than 12. I think depends on what you're doing that day.
Wait. We gotta go back.
$2.99. They start at like $5.99 is like regular price.
Okay,
all
right.
$2.99.
At $2.99, you've never bought less than 12.
Right.
Okay, I thought you meant on a normal occasion you've never bought less than 12 pints of ice cream at once. Also, maybe
when they're. I mean, that's a fine theory as well. When they're $3 or less.
Okay, that's fair.
I'm just buying a few carts worth.
Yeah,
that's why we have a freezer.
That's fair. That's why you got an ice cream freezer, man. God, I love that. You got to play Fortnite. I had never played Fortnite. You to win the cool moving Discord thing.
My son plays Fortnite. I'll have him play it on my behalf and get me.
There you go. Have him win a game for you, and then you're good. What do we got? Hey, you know what? With that, we've hit the lock. We've got past the lock. As I am the only one of my friend group with power right now, we have multiple families staying with us tonight so that they don't melt and die in their own homes. So we need to get out of here, and I need to go hang out with some folks. So for Cheese, for Ice, for our wonderful production crew, always working hard behind the scenes, guys, we appreciate you. We love you, and we will catch you tomorrow. You have been crunched.